until it goes public, right? So when we hit public is when it becomes relevant. So when we hit public is when it becomes relevant. Why does it sound like the AC is still on? So when we hit public is when it becomes relevant. Why does it sound like the AC is still on?
Because you didn't turn it off.
So when we hit public is when it becomes relevant. Why does it sound like the AC is still on?
Because you didn't turn it off.
So when we hit public is when it becomes relevant. Alright, so it's private.
Welcome to Vin and Sori Live, where we talk about anything from politics to religion, food, and other topics that involve human nature.
Like metal!
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. That's funny. Shrunk.
Look at your face.
No. Potatoes.
Hi, Pony. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
She said, speaking of metal. So that means she can hear us.
That's true. Sweet. All right. How are you guys tonight?
These potatoes are really good, man.
And my potatoes are lousy. The fries are soggy. I'm like, are you serious?
Uh-huh. Potatoes are badass.
Glad you like them. I was like, oh, I wish I could. Thank you, Christopher. I didn't know, like, I didn't want to give you just the chicken. So I was like, oh, if
I know. She's freaking gorgeous. Listening in from Sweden. What's up, Rye? Can you react to music live? It depends. BM fan, my guy.
We react to 2 songs a day. We just want to chill.
I know. It's true.
Okay. I'm going to set some boundaries because you're not going to.
It's true, though. We do listen to a bunch of music a day.
Those 15 minutes went pretty slow, huh? Which 15 minutes? Oh, maybe he's talking to somebody else?
Oh, yes, Damon. Because I said it was going to be in 15 minutes. It probably took 25.
Oh. Guys, don't worry. I'm wearing pants right now. Right, tonight. Good for you, Neil. Way to be
Pony.
Modest.
Simon Harris. All my favorite people are in the house. What's up, Martinez Joe? Help me out, bruh.
Wait, I saw something. Are we going a bit plant-based now? No.
I
don't think anything has necessarily changed.
I'm eating a plant.
Yeah, he's eating potatoes.
Is a potato a plant?
On the
Don't
plate.
tell me.
On the plate with some chicken.
Don't tell me that we can't eat potatoes now.
No, you can eat potatoes.
People tell me I can't eat potatoes.
I'm having a salad, but it has a little bit of chicken on it. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
You know where the soda pop?
Don't you hate it when you have something in the fridge and then the food ends up tasting like the fridge rather than what it should taste like? My chickpeas taste like refrigerator. And I dumped them all over the salad. What do you want? You want some soda?
Do you even gent?
You want to just drink out of this one?
Yeah. That's almost a vegetable, right? Potato? These potatoes are banging. Oh my gosh.
Really? They're fast to make too.
They're so good. Especially the little burnt part.
Oh, I'm so happy that you want to give that shirt to Jay. I didn't say you can eat anything. Just asking.
Nice choice of soda. I am a big Pepsi guy.
It's so funny how back-to-back messages. Nice choice of soda. Then the next one, Pepsi? Sacrilege! Like, just everybody has all just different opinions. Who drinks I drink Pepsi over Coke. I don't like Coke. Coke is not my thing.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Somebody from Serbia.
Ian said he's 507 there and he stayed up to watch us.
Wow. Vin and Sori, do you support Israel? You're going to have to define a little bit more clearly what supporting Israel means. Sodom? There's a band called Sodom or a song called Sodom?
I don't know. You guys Muslims? No, we're not Muslims.
We are not Muslims. Hello from Algeria. Salam left.
Ian, when I saw your message.
Yeah, smile.
When I saw your name come up, I'm like, man, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to remember there with that name there. I know you wanted to call in.
Who?
Oh yeah, Ian. He wants to call in, but he wants to ask me a few questions. He doesn't want to debate. He just wants to call in and ask a few questions about God. I think that you can answer the questions too. It's just he just doesn't want to debate. He wants to make that clear. Yeah, you can eat. Whoever said you couldn't eat. Is our Skype on?
Skype is.
If you turn it on, I'll let him call me.
Skype's live.
Okay, so Ian, Skype is live, so find us and call me.
I'm pretty sure Ian called in before.
He doesn't want to debate, though. But he said he wanted to talk on.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about debate. I just said I'm pretty sure he called in before. You can find us.
I don't know.
There are no master debaters here.
Hey, Jay, Pony was just talking about you.
There he is. That's the big homie. You just
Hello?
do that.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, put on speaker, babe.
Yeah, but it says it says speaker off. Which one? Which button?
The speaker.
Well, I thought you hit the one that said okay. Ian?
Hello?
Oh no, his thing is Ian on there. Okay, hi, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
There.
Thank you for taking my call, guys, and also thank you for replying to my email. I sort of said some personal shit in there, and it meant a lot that you did reply, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Love you, buddy.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, you may or may not recognise me, but I was the guy that sort of tried as best as I could to defend the Second Amendment stuff, so I'm glad you took my call. Anyway, I'll sort of get to it. Like, it wasn't specifically the story. I wanted to sort of bounce it off you both. But
Yep.
I sort of genuinely just had a couple of questions about Christianity and where that stands.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Well, I guess from a point of sort of honesty and self-awareness, which is what you guys preach through all your videos, like almost all of which I've watched, like especially after the last fireside, because I get why you were getting frustrated, and I do. So I'm gonna sort of lay my cards on the table. When I started watching your videos, I was like hardcore atheist, but I now wonder, like, why was I an atheist? Like, why don't I believe in God? These are the kind of questions I've never really thought to ask myself before.
Wow.
And sorry?
I just said wow. That's interesting that
right.
you're having those thoughts. Yep.
Well, yeah, because it's funny actually, because I know that Vin's made a few comments about like silly atheists and like Bronze Age primitives and I swear to God, these are the kind of comments that I used to make. But when you guys go into your sort of deep and meaningful analysis, especially like the things with the flood and sort of the major sort of Bible issues, like there's a lot of what you've said when you've gone into it with such like not just sort of like passion and faith that a lot of Christians have, but like really sort of intellectual digestion, for lack of a better term. And there's a lot of what you said that's made me think like it really made me think about shit. So I'm trying to sort of get to that place of self-awareness. So like I started asking myself, like, why don't I believe in God? What don't I believe about it? And it occurs to me that like I don't really have a solid world view that I can plant my feet in. I'm very much trying to figure all that out because I'm 34 now, but it's only in April of this year that I was diagnosed with Asperger's. By the way, I've noticed in comments before in all the firesides I've watched in the videos that people have mentioned this before. So big shout out to anybody that is on the autism spectrum. I know that's not an easy thing to live with. So yeah, like I'm trying to find my place in the world and work out what it means to be autistic, and I'm learning about as I go. But like as an extension of that, I'm really sort of challenging my views and trying, because like I'm not a very literary person, I admit it. And when when Vin was mentioning about like Nietzsche and I forget the other names that he mentioned, I'm sorry, but I haven't read any of those things. So like. I guess I wanted to ask you a few questions, like just straight up, like, because to me, like, there's some really sort of fishy shit in the Bible, and there's some things about Christianity I find hard to swallow. But cards on the table, I wish I could be Christian. And there's people that said, like, don't ever say that to Christians, they'll try and get you. You know, and that's actually genuinely something that people have said to me. It's like, oh, you're handing them the bait. And it's like, well, you know, I grew up in a Christian school, and I sort of, and there has been a point in my life that I was a Christian, but I questioned the extent to which I was, because I admit it came from a selfish place, because my father was diagnosed with motor neuron disease and he was dying, and it came from a place of desperation, and I prayed so hard for like my dad not to die, and of course he did. But anyway, I sort of want to get to the meat and bones of it. So I'm going to just ask you a few questions, because one thing that gets me about Christianity that I can't quite get my head around, and I'm hoping you can explain this to me. I don't get the fundamental principle of sacrifice. I'll expand on that, because like I know that you guys believe that Christ died on the cross so that our sins could be put onto him and we can die pure. And before Christ, I know there's like references in the Old Testament to people making sacrificial offerings or burnt offerings or something like that. Forgive my lack of knowledge of the Bible, but I saw something online once, because I actually really watched your interview with Aaron Ra, and as an extension of that, I've like looked at various atheist websites, and something that someone said that really stuck with me, like, if you ask forgiveness and God wanted to forgive you, why doesn't he just forgive you? Why does there need to be a sacrifice? Or I'm not wording this very eloquently, but you get what I mean?
Yeah. You're saying, why doesn't God just forgive? Why does there have to be a sacrifice involved anyway? Why can't he say, yeah, you're forgiven?
Well, yeah, that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like, why does there need to be a life expended for forgiveness? Because even in the burnt offerings, you're sacrificing an animal of sorts. So that was sort of the first question I wanted to ask, because that's something I really can't get my head around. So could you guys sort of explain that to me, if that's okay?
One of the things is that God is a loving God, but he's also just. And so, you know, if, say, God forbid, somebody took your family member and raped and murdered them, and then when they were standing before the judge said, the person said, I'm very sorry. I wish I would have never done that. Like, I'm so sorry for it. If the judge said, you know what, I accept that apology, and you're good, like there will be no consequences for what you did, everybody would say, hey, that's a bad judge. Like, that person needs to pay for what they did. It's good that they're sorry, but somebody's got to pay. And so that's kind of the sacrificial system, is basically when we sin, the payment or the penalty for sin is that a death would take place. And so that kind of like reverses that in a sense. And so that's why Jesus ended up having to die. That's why the sacrificial system came. It was so that way God could maintain justice. So the sins were paid for and punished, but we were able to walk out of that forgiven.
Actually, that kind of makes a sort of sense to me, actually, because I was coming from a place of honesty. I was like, well, Because I think I can't remember the name of the guy that did it, but yeah, he was just like, well, why doesn't God just forgive? And I was like, well, God is referenced in the Bible as being a forgiving God, and that was like one of the things. Like, well, if He wanted to forgive you, why didn't He just forgive you? But you raised a very emotive example there, because if someone committed something really bad, then maybe there should be some sort of penance there. That's actually a very satisfactory answer. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Yeah, please.
I think part of my frustration with the last conversation is because we couldn't concede certain points, I couldn't make my ultimate point. My ultimate point isn't that atheists are bad people who kill millions of people. We've talked about the Crusades a lot and all the different ways Christians have killed people. And my ultimate sort of perspective on things is that all of us have the capability of doing really evil shit to each other. And
I agree.
And so, but here's the thing that happens with most of us. Most of us will look at Hitler or a child molester and whatever and point at the pain that they've brought into the world, and very few of us dwell on the pain that we've brought into the world. Like,
no, I get that.
90% of metal is about the things that have been done to us or going after people from doing terrible things to people. And it's very few do you hear people say, I have done terrible things that have really hurt people. And so I think one of the things that I think God has done probably a million things on the cross, but one of those million things is to say, all of us collectively have done this. So if you just say, oh, okay, you're forgiven, we don't dwell on the fact that we have taken part in crucifying other people. Does that make sense? If forgiveness is just willy-nilly, we forget about the times where we've made fun of a person and crucified them with our words, or we've done other things and really, really hurt people. Whereas a cross makes me say, I've done my part in crucifying Christ, and in doing that, I've crucified other people. I've hurt other people, whether it's my own predilections to violence as a kid growing up or other things. So it brings the weight of what we've done into full relief, if that makes any sense. And I think...
actually it does. I get that, actually, I do. Can I just say one thing to sort of expand on the point? Because I didn't catch the last fireside, but I watched your video, and I've already admitted freely that I'm very unsure of stuff. I've actually talked to a couple of other Christians and atheists as well. I've watched all of your videos and I've looked at a couple of Aaron Ra's, and I'm really trying to sort of figure it all out at the minute. I'm very much in the unsure agnostic sort of camp, but like it was a really sort of interesting sort of social point that like all of the people that called in were entirely unwilling to admit that the militant atheism was responsible for those deaths, as if they were taking it very personally, because I took it sort of very literally and felt no affiliation for it, because to me, to be an atheist is simply to not believe in God. So I don't count it as a sort of religion or a camp or a family, as it were. And when you are actually directly quoting a page number from a book, I mean, I freely admit I'm not familiar with these literary works. I admit that. But like when you're actually directly quoting someone who is responsible for these things, who is saying themselves that the reason that they're doing them is atheism, and they're entirely unwilling to get it, I was like, is it just that is it a prideful thing that they just don't want to admit it? I honestly didn't get it, and I thought you handled it very well. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of say that,
Yeah. Well, I think there's been a lot of finger pointing and saying, "Oh, you religious people killed all these people," and the point that I'm making is that it's not a religion issue. It's not even an atheist. It's a human nature issue. Mm-hmm. Like there's something really wrong with all of us, and that's why I appreciate metal, because it's so honest. And saying,
no, it is. I agree with you there.
There's something wrong with us, right? And so I think that's why God made forgiveness so costly, because if you make forgiveness cheap, then you make the offense cheap, like what Sori was talking about with the rape victim, or what we've done to people in our society with mental illness, like in the asylum song. That's
No, yeah, that's why I actually emailed her, because that video had me in tears, because especially with your reaction, because like I don't say this lightly. If read the email, read the email I sent you guys, because I don't want to go into it too much, but believe me when I say I have experience in that shit, I do. And that video hit me so hard. I'm not ashamed to admit, I ended up crying. And that's why I felt so compelled to send the email that I hope you'll read, because that really hit home to me.
and the thing is, Ian, like, I believe that the people that hurt you, because Sori read me the email, I believe God can forgive I believe God can forgive the people that hurt you, but when I look at the cross, I see God saying, "This is what you did to Ian." See, it's like I can forgive you, but I need you to understand what you actually did to him. And at the same time, Ian, I also see God saying, "Ian, I know what they did to you, and I took part. I'm taking part in your pain too." You see, so like both of those things are happening simultaneously, because God is not just trying to accomplish forgiveness. That question kind of assumes that forgiveness is the goal.
Right.
Forgiveness is not the goal, actually. The actually is love God and love your neighbor. And so these things that we've done to each other and these things that we've done to God are barriers in the way of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way a relationship can really thrive is if you deal with the issue, and is if both parties understand the weight of what happened, and then you can move on.
Mm-hmm.
See? And so that's what I'm seeing on the cross, is that's a perfect example of all the things that have happened to you. Yes, God will definitely forgive those people if they want it, but he's going to say, I want you to look at this and see that this was a crucifixion, and this person has had to carry this cross that you put on them because of this pain and suffering. And so I will forgive you, but I want you to understand the weight of what that means, if that makes any sense.
No, it actually does, because the reason I send that email and I so wanted to talk to you, because I don't mean to repeat myself, but I want to preface that I want to reinforce the fact that I'm very unsure. I'm doing a lot of thinking about shit, and I'm really trying to figure it all out. But I guess the reason that Christianity resonates with me so much, and I'm aware that I was raised in Britain, which is a Judeo-Christian environment, and I went to a Christian primary school, so I accept all of that. But a lot of the points that Christianity make sort of jibe with my worldview, even absent my belief in God. Because I remember, a while ago, you did a fireside about can atheism establish morality, and you talked to a guy, I can't remember his name, but you sort of expanded on the point of sorry, I'm not very good at it. I'm a bit nervous.
You're doing great. You're doing good. You're doing great.
But when you were sort of talking about can atheism establish morality, and you were sort of talking about that someone was making this objective morality, and you sort of dissected it a bit, and you tried to get to the point of because he made the point that all human beings are valuable, and you were sort of getting, where do you get that from? And I actually agree with that. I absolutely believe that all human beings have value, all human beings. So, but as an atheist, I was when I watched that fireside, that there's loads of examples I could give of, loads of videos and loads of things you've said that really got me thinking, and that is one of them, because I was well, if I totally adopt the atheist point of view and there's no God, then why do I personally believe that every human being is valuable? I don't know, because there's a few other things that I jibe with, because I know you always one of the things I love about you guys, and I mean this genuinely, is you refer to everybody as an image bearer of God, and therefore having value intrinsically because of that. Now, like I said, I'm not sure about whether or not I believe in God. I might just be reaching because I'm in a bad place, but I don't know where that morality in me comes from, because I consider myself a very very moral person. You know, that kind of showed in spades when I tried to debate the Second Amendment, because I was tripping over myself not to offend anybody, and to try and be so respectful, and like, oh, I can't, because it's not my style to like even try to offend anybody. But yeah, like there's a few things that that you've said that sort of jibe with me. I guess like where I'm at right now is because I was honest when I said that I wish I could be. I wish I could be a Christian. I do. I miss that feeling. Like, and I said in my email, like, I wish I had in my life the belief that when you feel so alone, that you're not alone. And when you feel like you're absolutely hating yourself, the thing I love most about Christianity is the thought that you are loved. But my problem is, like, I guess I was sort of raised in an atheistic environment. And
Ian,
I just, yeah.
it's a bit hard to hear you. I think you might have moved the phone in a weird spot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yes, that is much better. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. But yeah, so I was raised in a sort of atheistic environment to parents that never forced religion on me, and I sort of fell into the metal scene because of my mental health issues. Well, not because of, but it was linked with. And I never had any sort of predominant Christian influence in my life, as it were. But can I ask you something else? Because like I'm going to sort of get to the real. I'm going to get to the real issue here, because I mentioned to you before that like once upon a time I turned to Christianity because my father was dying, and I was in a really desperate state, and I really wanted. I knew that when he had his diagnosis, there was no survival from it. There has never been a case of survival from it. So I guess I sort of when you have to accept that reality, I sort of like the only way to go is to some supernatural means, because by the laws of nature there was no way out.
Yeah.
And so I prayed really hard, and actually one of the things that really turned me away from it the most was a book a guy gave me. Is a guy called Steve. I won't mention his last name, but he himself was a Christian youth worker, an evangelist Christian, and we had many conversations about it. He was actually a really good guy, but without even knowing it, he really wounded me, because it was basically I can't remember what it was called, but it was a book about what happens when you face God after you die, and it gave 3 examples of a Christian. A bad person who was a Christian and a good man who was an atheist. And the first 2 parts, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Like the first one was like, forgiven, go to heaven. The second one was like, did some really bad shit. But it's like, well, your sins are forgiven, you can go to heaven. And the third one was this atheist guy that was a good bloke, had done good deeds and lived a good life. And God said nothing to him other than, you didn't know me. And that was it. Wow. And that was him gone. And you know what? My biggest, I mean this genuinely, my absolute biggest stumbling block is that if I was ever, and I'm not in that place right now, but if I was ever to accept the idea of God or the idea of Christianity, by extension, I would have to admit that my father, who was one of the best men I knew, who died an atheist, is not there. And do you know what? I can't accept the idea of my dad being in hell. I literally, I can't accept that. I can't get to a place where I could accept that. And that's one of the things that is genuine. I'm just sort of being really honest with you. That is like absolute number one biggest stumbling block for Christianity, is even the very idea of hell. I can't really say any more about that, so I'm gonna. I don't know where else to go with that, but yeah, like so. What I'll just say, like, how would you guys respond to that? I can't really think of anything else. What else to say about it, as it were?
I mean, I always say we don't. You believe that your father was an atheist, but I believe that God is very merciful and that God meets people where they're at. And I don't know, you don't know what those last conversations between him and God may have been, like, so you think that he went as an atheist, but there's no way that we could know definitively, because especially where your father knew he was getting closer and closer to dying. And there's lots of stories where God will like meet with people, like, and so who knows, like if that happened with your dad. So I mean, there would be no way to know definitively that your dad, like you're saying, well, if Christianity is true and if there really is a hell, my dad would definitely be there. We can't know that because we don't know. And like we said before, like he's very, very merciful. And I believe that, I don't know, like I've heard of people saying that, God met with them. So I don't know,
The other thing for me is like, God gives everyone what they ultimately want, and I think that's important to understand. So what I mean by that is, the Bible says you'll seek me and find me when you seek me with your whole heart, or all the rest of it. I don't know what was going on in the mind of your dad. Like, so for you, for example, right? Like right now, the label that you have is atheist. Ian is an atheist. Fine. But there's a lot of things going on inside of you that you haven't expressed till now, probably.
And
that's true.
probably all your family around, like if you died right now, they would probably all say he was an atheist, he died an atheist. But you're already like stirring questions and having conversations with God, and
or like, this conversation counts as an act of seeking God. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm very hesitant to say we don't know what's going on in the inner workings of a person. You see what I'm saying? All we know is what's going on outside of them. I can tell you this: if your dad was as good as you say he was, and I don't know him, right?
Yeah, he was a good bloke. Just take my word on it.
Yeah. Well, the good is attracted to good. Does that make sense? And so,
yeah,
I can't. There's way too many factors for me to speak on your dad. The only thing that I will say is that the concept of hell. First of all, we're going to do a Bible study eventually, and it's like top 5 things that Vin and Sori don't like about the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And hell is.
I'm really looking forward to that, by the way.
Huh? Yeah. Hell is my number one.
What did he say? He wants to go to that? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
No, I said I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So hell is our number one. I don't like the concept at all. I don't believe it's some fiery place of torment or whatever. I just think it's a place. It's another dimension in our universe where their consciousness goes because if they don't want God. And what I mean by that is if you dislike God or you hate God so much that you don't want to be around him, he doesn't force himself on you. But the biblical perspective is that God is the ultimate good, right? So if you're separated from the ultimate good, then the Bible's going to describe that as hell. Now here's the thing: if I hate God and I'm forced into the presence of God, from that perspective, I'm going to look at the presence of God as hell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
no, you actually touched on that in the Cradle of Filth video when you said like maybe people maybe it's like ground zero and people are experiencing heaven and hell the same thing depending on whether they love or hate God.
Right.
That really resonated with me actually. But can I, like, to sort of expand on your point, can I ask you a genuine question? And I really want you to answer this, like, because I'm like, especially you, Vin, and because you both like speak so intellectually about God. So I want you to answer this very honestly. Do you think that, like, if somebody dies an atheist, like an actual atheist, like on the moment of their death, they don't believe in God, so then and I'm putting myself into your worldview for this, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say they do die an atheist, and they're then meeting their maker. And they're like, holy shit, like, God's real. Like, what the fuck? Do you think that in that, because I know the Bible's very clear that people who die without God in their hearts, like, it says what happens to them, but do you think God gives people that one last chance after death? Like, say you die, because another reason I ask that is because, like, I asked this question, and I've been talking to another friend of mine who is a Christian. And he was pretty clear on it, but he was sort of he was talking to me about my search for God, for lack of a better thing, And he was saying to me, like, well, it's pretty clear to me that you don't want God in your life. And I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not true. Like, there's a big difference between not believing that God is there and not wanting Him to be there.
Right.
That's a different thing.
Absolutely.
So I guess, like, the question I wanted to ask, like presuppose the example I gave, that like someone dies, like genuinely an atheist, and they don't believe in God at the moment they die, and then they appear for their judgment and they're standing before God. Do you think if they said to him, like, shit, I'm sorry, I didn't believe in you, but now I see you are here, do you think that there's that a second chance for them?
Let me answer your question with a question. I will answer your question directly, for sure. But let me twist the question a little bit.
Okay.
And this may be a form of a question that nobody has ever thought of. Would the person give God a shot? In other words, what if God has been chasing that person their entire life, and they have been suppressing that knowledge for their entire life, and then they ultimately and finally see God, and God says, "Here I am," and they say, "Fuck you, still don't want to go." See what I'm saying?
Well, no, I do see what you're saying, and I guess in that instance, if they were literally stood before God and there was no doubt, and they said they didn't want Him, then that would then, you know, fair play. But I'll turn this back to myself, because I remember a question that you asked at the end of the interview with Aaron Ra, and you said, like, and it's one that Christians and people have like posed before. It's like actually quite a common theological question. Is that, like, let's assume that you die and you stand before God, what would you say? So in my example, like if like, God forbid, if I was to die like this instant with where I'm at in my journey, and like right now, I'm so unsure. Like I can't say that I believe in God, because I just don't know right now. But like, if for myself, if I was to stand, like, my friend who I told you about before, the Christian guy, he asked me the same question, and I had to think long and hard about it. It's like, what if I died this moment and I stood before God? What would I say? And I'll be brutally honest. The first thing I would say is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I doubted, because like I want. It's an odd thing to say for someone who stands like at an atheistic viewpoint, but I want God in my life for various reasons. I'm just not at a place where I can believe Him, and there's lots of other technicalities. Like, it's not just the emotional level about my dad, which is a big one, and it's also not just the idea of hell, which is also a big one, or the idea of suffering, and like people like even children dying of leukemia, and like there's so much horror in the world, which is also a really big one. I have too many problems and stumbling blocks and shit that allows me to get to that point yet. But, you know, I'm not.
But you see, but what's in your heart is you're sorry, and you have human weakness that makes it so that you doubt things. And you know, there's a famous verse in the Bible, it's one of my favorites. This guy comes to Jesus and he says, "My son is in a lot of trouble. If you're willing, you can heal him." And Jesus says, "If I'm willing, like, do you doubt that I love you?" And the guy responds by saying, "I believe, help my unbelief." Mm-hmm. And so, like, there's sort of this idea, and we've done this as Christians, to like say that you've got to like hold and believe in all these sets of facts for God to accept you, or you've got to have no doubts and all these other things for God to accept you. And that's not it. But there are some people, Ian, when they answer that question, what would you say to him? They answer it very differently. Like somebody in our chat said, "Get out of my way," right? So that person is saying, if I ran into God, I'd tell him, "Get out of my way." You're saying, I'd say, "I'm sorry." Do you see the difference?
No, I do.
So with you, I have very, 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 very good hopes, and you don't know what counts as belief to God. See, that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there's this guy on the cross getting crucified next to Jesus, right?
Mm.
And at the beginning, you've probably heard of the good thief.
No, yeah, I heard you talk about this before.
Yeah, like it.
He says, "Will you remember me?" And Christ says, like, "Remember you, you'll be with me in heaven," or something to that effect.
Yeah, this day you're going to be with me in paradise. Very good. But what people don't know is that at the beginning, when all three of them got crucified, both of the thieves were mocking Jesus. They were both mocking him. And then over time, one of them says, "This guy is actually a really good person." And then he turns and says, "Hey, man, remember me." He doesn't even ask for forgiveness, probably because he doesn't think that Jesus will forgive him because he was mocking him earlier. So all he says is, "Just remember me." And to Jesus, that was enough. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so I don't believe that that guy had perfect knowledge of what Christianity was. I don't believe that the guy understood the reality of all of what Jesus was. All he knew was that this guy, I just wish you would remember me, and that was enough for Jesus to count it as belief. You see what I'm saying? Whereas
Yeah.
the other guy, to his dying breath, never said anything even remotely close to that. And so when you say, I would say, "I'm sorry," that tells me that your heart is in a different place, but you're having real issues with doubt. You're having real issues with what's going on with my dad. Where's my dad? You're having real issues with, I don't know, you see some picture, some starving kid in Africa, and it's just like, if you're up there, why the hell aren't you doing anything for this kid? For me, Ian, it was the Holocaust. I didn't
Oh
understand.
yeah.
I didn't
I didn't want
understand.
to go there, but that is a big one.
It's a major one for me. I didn't understand why he just let that happen over and over again, and I still don't. And it's still a major problem for me, right? So
Yeah.
I think sometimes, like, when I get in these debates, I kind of portray myself as somebody who, like, doesn't have any doubts and all the rest of it. There's only like 3 or 4 things that I don't doubt. One is that God created the world, and two is that Jesus lived, died, and rose again. Like, that's there's a lot of other things that are up for grabs for me as far as, like, questioning. Does that make sense? So
No, it does.
I think there's so many stories in the Bible where, like, you get a guy like Cain, right? And Cain kills his brother, and God says, "What are you doing? You killed your brother." And then Cain says, "Don't give me the death penalty." And God says, "Okay, I'll protect you. Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to kill you." And then the last thing it says is, Cain went out from the presence of the Lord. And I think that's so important to understand, is that God doesn't say you have to have perfect faith. God doesn't say the ultimate question is, do you want him? And what I'm hearing you say is that, man, if I could believe in that, that would be great, right?
Yeah. No,
And
it would actually. As I mentioned in my email, like, I mean it genuinely when I say that I wish I could be Christian, but like there's just too much shit in the way for me to be able to say that. Like, I can't. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I believe, because I also try and reconcile. Because I do have a very, like, a reasonably comprehensive knowledge of biology and science. My father was a physics teacher and taught me a lot about science. I mean, don't judge me too harshly, but I absolutely believe in evolution. Evolution happened, so, like, if I was ever to get to a point where I was a Christian, I would have to somehow reconcile that. I don't know. I guess, like, I don't know. I just have this, like, so many stumbling blocks and so many contradictions, and it's like, especially now at this exact point in my life. That's why I wanted to call in and so much and ask you guys these questions. Like, it's all just so confusing to me. But, like, I don't know. I mentioned the major issues that I have with it, but, like, for me, I just have this, like, untold barrier, because I can logic it all I like and give examples all I like, but I just have this thing where I just can't quite get there. It's too much of an ontological leap for me to like, because on the other hand, I can just as easily explain things as coincidence or presupposition or like or confirmation bias. Like people see what they want to see, and like I say, I'm trying to sort of figure it all out because, like, again, I admit, like, I've had serious issues with depression. Where the irony is that someone pointed out that like the blatant contradictions in my beliefs, and it wasn't until someone really held up the mirror that I saw this, because like the number of times that I've like shouted and swore and hated God, and they're like, well, like, how can you be angry at something you don't exist? And I was like, fuck you with your logic.
Logic.
Don't bring your logic at me when I'm trying to be all upset and stuff, And like another thing, like I've always maintained that I have no belief in the paranormal or the supernatural or anything beyond the physical realm, and yet. The same person, like, there's a very close friend of mine. She is also an atheist, but she's very switched on to things. I've been trying to encourage her to get involved in your channel because, like, she reminds me so. She's the atheist version of Vin. Like, she's so clever and so knowledgeable, but like she also pointed out the blatant contradictions. Because, like I say, I have real trouble believing in anything in the supernatural. And yet there was one time, I'll share a little story with you. It'll give you a bit of a laugh, but this genuinely happened. It was a few years ago, and I was in the house on my own, and I heard this disembodied voice, and I freaked out. I was like, holy shit, and I ran upstairs and hid myself in the bedroom and thought nothing of it until the very next night. I heard this disembodied voice again, and I was like, oh my God, the house is haunted. There's a ghost in the house. And I was and I called my friend up. It was like 2 a.m. I was like, there's a ghost in my house. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. And it wasn't until the next day that I realised in the cupboard under the stairs there was a radio that had somehow got switched on, and that was the voice I was hearing. And this is so true. And she was saying, like, why the hell did you think it was a ghost? And I was like, do you know what? I don't know. I don't know why my brain went there. So and like years later, this was a few years ago, but years later, this came up again, and she used that to like point out. It's like, well, you say you don't believe in the supernatural, but when that happened, the first thing your brain went to was a supernatural explanation. So look, this is why I'm trying to figure all this shit out, because like. I keep saying, like, when I started watching your channel, I was like, there's no such thing as God. And now I'm thinking, like, is there? Isn't there? I don't know. And it's weird because, like, another thing, like if I was to put myself into your worldview, you could almost call it God speaking to me. But, like, if I put myself into the atheistic worldview, I could just as easily contribute it to coincidence. But the number of times that I've had like a religious doubt that has been answered by a video that you brought out, and I'll give you a specific example, because I was talking to my Christian friend, and I actually raised the example of the flood, and I know there's going to be people in the comment section that's like, oh, that's such a tired old argument, I've heard that sometimes, but do you know what? It's not tired to everyone.
Right on.
And I was raised, and I said to him, it's like, I just can't get my head around the flood. That's another big stumbling block. And he tried as best he could to explain it, but he's a new Christian. I mean that as no disrespect. He's a recent convert. He's only been a Christian for a year and a half, so he has nowhere near your ontological knowledge of God or the Bible. So I discussed it with him, and I was saying, like, how could God say that absolutely everyone was evil and therefore needed to be wiped out? And he was saying, well, how do you know everyone was evil? I was like, fucking, come on, man, are you including like babies and 6-month-olds in that? You know, like toddlers and children, and you know, it just didn't ring right. And then and then you had that video out. I can't remember the song, but it was literally about the flood. It was the one that ended with "I regret, therefore I have made them" in that dramatic voice, and you really went into the topic of the flood, and you mentioned how like there's no such thing as a natural death, and because I guess my point is that like I've always sort of considered things from an atheistic point of view, but when I do the thing that you say, like, you know, if you've got to criticize something, you have to put yourself into that worldview. So when I put myself into that worldview, the flood makes a bit more sense. But can I genuinely ask you a question? Because I know that there's people going to be whinging about me bringing up the flood, but I genuinely want to ask it, right? Let's suppose that Genesis 1:1 happened, which is another point I know you've made, Vin, right? So let's say that God is so powerful that he created the world by speaking it, you know, and therefore that totally puts to rest all the other arguments, like how did the animals get to God? I know someone actually raised that point. It's like, yeah, well, how did polar bears get there? I was like, that's your problem. Anyway, anyway, so let's suppose that happened, right? To me, and I'm genuinely doing this or as best I can from a Christian worldview, right? Why? I still have the issue of why the flood, because like let's suppose that God breathed the world into existence. Couldn't he therefore also have just said, "Let all wicked men be gone," and they were gone?
Yep.
That would therefore have saved all of the animals which I know it says in the Bible, were spared because they live as they did in the garden. So why have two of each animal go onto the ark to therefore? Because I mean that's a risky policy there, right there. Because if one of the animals dies, that's an extinct species. So why not just have all the animals that are living as they did in the garden carry on living in the world, and just by the power of those words, because God can breathe words into existence. So why just say, "Let all men who are evil be gone," and therefore, by the very definition of those words, anyone who is not evil would not be gone. The 6-month-olds and the babies would survive, and anyone who wasn't wicked would survive. The animals would survive, and that's a point I tried to raise to my friend, and he really didn't get where I was coming from. I'm hoping he'll understand the question. So, can you give me your perspective on that?
I don't have an answer. I'll let Vin take it, but I do have one thing is, if that's it, let's say he went about it that way and he said that all wicked men and women would just disappear. That means all of the adults, let's say, then it would have been just a ton of babies left, and the only people that would have survived was Noah and his family, and they wouldn't have been able to take care of that many children. So then I guess lots of them would have starved and stuff. That's the only thing that comes to mind, but I don't know, like, what do you have to say about it? Like, can you imagine, like, having
Well, I think if God
Can
said...
I just say one thing, then, just before you answer, because I want to hear your answer, but just to expand on that point, by extension of that, because like I say, I'm going on the supposition that God's voice is so powerful, he can breathe existence into the universe. So couldn't he then also have said, by the power of his voice, say, "Let all evil men be God, and let all unattained children survive until they are protected"?
I see.
You know, that's the problem when because I know that you've raised this point, Ben, with loads of atheists that have tried to take you on in debates. Like when you go into the Christian world, you have to suppose Genesis 1:1, and I'd never really considered that until you raised it, and that's one of the biggest things that really got me thinking. I was like, okay, so let's do that. Let's suppose that God is so powerful that there's nothing beyond the limits of his power, and he can not only breathe life into existence, but we consider the planets and the galaxies and the stars and the entire universe, the DNA code, everything was brought into existence because he breathed it. So I still come back to this unanswerable question of why something as mundane as a flood that kills absolutely everything, when he could have just simply rooted out the wicked and protected the good. Because I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect, but I refuse to believe that, and I know that there must have been a lot of wickedness, but I refuse to believe that every single human being that existed on the planet was evil, including adults. Even if you accept that 99% of them were evil, I don't believe that every single person of age was evil. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so anyway, I just wanted to sort of raise that. So anyway, carry on.
Yeah, and to hop into the biblical universe, what's interesting is that it says after Noah walks off the ark and God does the whole rainbow thing and you hear the oh God says, never again will I flood the earth on account of man. And it says, because he is evil from his youth.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. If God said, I'm going to root out all the wicked from the biblical universe, Ian, that's worse than what you see in the flood, because that means Noah would have died too. Because the Bible doesn't say in Genesis 6, Noah was this awesome person. He was great and everybody else around him sucked. What it says is Noah found favor in the eyes of God. And the word favor is the word grace. And grace is simply God just overlooks all the evil shit you do just because. And there's no real explanation for it. So there's a couple things in the Bible. Like, for example, there's a passage in Deuteronomy where Moses says to the people, God doesn't love you because you're great and you're awesome and you're righteous. As a matter of fact, you guys are terrible. But he loves you because he loves you. Well, that's not an explanation. It's just, okay? So Noah is saved not because he's morally better than anybody. He's saved because he found favor in the eyes of God. God just looked down and said, that guy, I'm going to spare him. So I see what you're saying as far as like, it's hard to comprehend everybody being evil, but the text actually says only evil continually. Mm-hmm. So if that precept is correct, then the question isn't why did he kill all those people? The question is why the hell did he let those 8 people on the boat? Because they're evil too. And honestly, right after Noah gets off the boat, what happens? I don't know if you know the rest of the narrative, but Noah doesn't build a church and a temple and worship God. He gets ossified drunk. He falls asleep naked. His son, one of his sons, finds him naked, and then goes and tells everybody to mock his father. There are some scholars actually that believe that his son sexually assaulted him, and there's some lexical connections where you can make that case. I've never went there because it's just too weird. And then the last thing you hear from Noah is him cursing his grandson because of what his son did to him. So I hear what you're saying, but from the biblical perspective, everybody sucks, including Noah and his family. Like everybody's bad, and God just happened to show mercy to Noah for no reason. Because once Noah gets off the boat, he fucks everything up along with his kids, and the last thing he does is curse people, and then he's out of the narrative. We just move to the next thing. So that's the real issue is that, okay, if God is going to destroy all the wicked, and everybody was wicked, and Noah was wicked, why did he just randomly decide to have grace on Noah and save him? And the answer is because God has an overarching plan to redeem humanity. But I think there's a lesson, just like I was telling you earlier about the lesson of the cross, because none of us really sees how serious evil is. We only see how serious like Hitler is. But listen, Ian, there are millions of communal sins that create an Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
This is something like I try. This is why I say we.
No, can I just say I totally get you, because like before Hitler there was World War One that had over 1 million people die, and he was a hardened warrior because of it. So like I get what you're saying there.
Right, and the German and think about this, bro. This is one of the things that fascinates me about the Holocaust. The German people who one day had a Jewish neighbor, got their bread and milk from their Jewish neighbor, nice as can be. You would take me, if you could take me in a time machine before Kristallnacht. Do you know what Kristallnacht is?
I'm afraid I don't. Sorry.
Kristallnacht is like one of the turning points in Germany when regular German citizens and soldiers turned against their Jewish neighbors and bashed in windows and beat the hell out of Jewish people and did crazy shit to them before they sent them off into Auschwitz. Okay, so
yeah, do you know what terrifies me is that, like, just to a lesser extent, that's some of the shit that's happening in the world today, and it really lends credence to the whole nihilistic people are shit kind of thing. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Well, no, but the night of shattered glass is what Kristallnacht is. That's what it translates to. And so, if you'd have took me in a time machine the day before Kristallnacht, you'd have been like, "Oh, Vin, look at all these people. They're nice. They're getting bread from each other." And then the next day, boom. You see what I'm saying? Regular German people are doing this to their neighbors, right? And so there's a lot of evil below the surface within all of us that is being held at bay. That if you think about the community, if you think about the world of the flood, you didn't have a developed legal system, right? This is one of the things actually talked about in the previous video where God didn't create all these laws. So you didn't have a legal system. So people were doing what they were doing without repercussions. And, I bring up the purge all the time. Like, would you want a society without laws? And no matter how hardcore atheistic you are, nobody wants a society without laws. Well, why is that? Because we know that our neighbor is capable of doing some really evil shit to us, and we like the deterrent of the law to keep that at bay. You see what I'm saying?
No, I do. I get that, actually.
So I think there's enough episodes in human history, whether they're religious. We all know religious people can fuck people up. We know that. Whether they're atheistic, I try to establish that miserably, I guess. My point is, it's human nature. And so the flood is a lesson. I think Khaled said it. The flood is a lesson about how bad we can actually get. And it's a lesson of this is what collectively that we will do to each other if God doesn't stop it. And it's also a lesson of God still has hope for humanity because he takes Noah out of the ark. And when Adam and Eve came into the world, God said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. When Noah gets off the ark, he says, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth, right? Like, God's like, we're going to do this over. You guys are going to get it right next time, right? And obviously we don't, but he refuses to flood the earth again because God is at the same time developing a plan of redeeming us, of saving us from ourselves, right? And it culminates in Jesus. So that would be my shot. Like if I believed that there were good people that died in the flood, I would have a serious problem. I would. But because of what the text says, so the text says that everybody sucked, everybody was evil, including Noah. And looking at history, because anytime we say Hitler, we act like this one dude murdered all those people. It took the cooperation of an entire society to pull that shit off, right? And even when we have discussions about abortion, Ian, I'll say things like, we're killing a Homo sapien. And the person will say, yes, we're killing a Homo sapien. And then they'll find reasons for why we're doing it. And this is acceptable in Western culture. Why are we okay with, and this is why I say, like, we've got to hold the line on everybody. Every Homo sapien is an image bearer of God. Whether they're, no matter how much they're developed, no matter if they have a developmental disability when they get out of the womb, if they have a mental illness, everybody's image bearer of God. And we still haven't figured that out. And so now we've got 50 million image bearers of God that we all admit are human beings. And everybody's basically fine with dispensing with them. So we, as modern people in 2018, how different are we really?
No, I get where you're coming from, because actually something I've said in like the conversations I've had. One thing, like, I've had a variety of Christians, including these evangelists that live in my hometown, that they literally preach the gospel into a microphone, and I've challenged them a couple of times, especially one time when they said that dinosaurs didn't exist, and I was like, well, yeah, they did. But
Yeah, I agree.
But no,
Dinosaurs
I mean,
existed.
I've had
Triceratops is my
conversations with
favorite.
them before, but one of the things that I have to admit, that, again, if I put myself, because I've heard Christians say before that we are living in the end times, and you know what? Well, like right now in the world, when I see that there's so much horrible shit going on that I actually sometimes struggle to watch the news, and because it's just depressing, and I've got enough of that in my life right now to battle with, and I'm a very, very emotive person. I take things to heart, and I'm not ashamed to admit, even though I'm a bloke, I'm a crier. I'm a very emotional person, and when I see like all the shit that goes on, that's why I was so outspoken in the Second Amendment debate, because I admit maybe it was a bit of a naive worldview, but like I was thinking well, a gun is designed to kill people. No one should kill people. This is ridiculous, and you made that judge like, this is America, sir, and I was like, well, actually, yeah, maybe I was being a bit naive there. I don't know, but I totally, actually, that's one of the things that jibe with me is Christianity, is the whole idea of that we're born into sin, and we actually, again, I'm going to revert back to the Cradle of Filth review you did, because that's the one I remember the most, because I watched it a dozen times, because incidentally, I nearly wet myself with excitement when you did that. That is one of my all-time favourite Cradle of Filth songs. But you made your analogy about the loaf of bread, and the entropy of sin, and how without preservatives things are going to go towards sin. And even I, who consider myself a moral person, I'm guilty of that. I've done stuff I'm not proud of, especially when I'm in my lowest points. I'm guilty of being quick to anger, and when I'm angry, I sometimes say things I don't mean. I've never been a violent person, but that doesn't mean I haven't said shit I don't really regret. So I totally get where you're coming from with that. I do. Can I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I'm sure there's other people that want to call in. But can I ask you just one more question before I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Again, it's about Jesus himself, right? So Jesus came 2,000 years ago, and he lived his life, and he spread his message and did his miracles and all that jazz, and then he died on the cross for our sins. And I'm asking this genuinely as someone who doesn't really know a lot about the Bible, so I'm hoping you can maybe explain it to me. But why, after I don't know how many years of people being horrible to each other, because you even have to admit, even after the flood, there's even in Exodus, the very next chapter of the Bible, that you've got pharaohs doing horrendous shit to people. That's why the Exodus happened. And the people have been horrible to each other pretty much ever since. So it says in the Bible, I've heard you quote this before, that there is no way to heaven except through me. So another sort of thing I don't get is why, if that's true, if we can't go to heaven if we're impure and have sin, and we need to put our sins upon Jesus on the cross to be forgiven and all that stuff, why did Jesus come a mere 2,000 years ago when we know that there's several thousand years of people being horrible to each other? Why hasn't there always been a Jesus? Why then at that specific point in history? Because I totally accept that there was a Jesus, a Jesus figure. There's enough corroborating evidence to believe that there's a person called Jesus. Whether or not he rose from the dead was one of the things I was like, well, of course he didn't. No one rises from the dead. But then I heard you Vin, I heard you make this point with an atheist when you challenged him on it, and you were saying about the horrors that people had to endure immediately after Jesus' death, and people who had dined with him and seen him and touched him. And you were asking, did those people die for a lie that they believed was a lie? And I really thought on that, and I was like, that's another point that you made that really sort of got me thinking. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, even if I was to accept that were true, what happened to all of the people that died before Jesus came?
So in the, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Bible, but in the garden when they both sinned, and God came down and had that conversation with them, and then kind of curses were passed out. A promise was also made to Eve that from her was going to come one that was going to crush the head of the serpent, but in the process was going to be bruised himself. And so each time that Eve had a child, she always thought, I wonder if this is the guy. So she was looking forward to, so the person, you know, the person that is actually is Jesus, because when he went to the cross, like he crushed the head of Satan, but in the process he was hurt obviously on the cross. So each generation was looking forward to this one that was going to finally overtake the devil who had tricked them and kind of come against them many, many times throughout history. So all the people prior to Christ were looking forward to when Jesus was going to come. And then Jesus came and died on the cross. And all the people before, it was still faith. They still had to believe that he was coming. And then after he came, now we look back at it and we say, oh, he came, and we look to what he did. So whether it's the people before the cross or it's the people after, we're all looking at the same thing, the one that was going to save us through himself being bruised, which was, like we said, the time on the cross.
And I think another thing that's interesting, I've made the statement a few times that there's only 3 or 4 stories in the world, right? I've said that a few times, and the reason I say that is because the theme of everything being good, then some evil person comes and fucks it up, and then the hero comes and saves everybody at cost to himself. Right. That's a template that's, I mean, any good story you've heard, I mean, that's pretty much the story. Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, any good story has that. And it's like, why does that story keep getting retold?
Mm-hmm.
And so before Jesus came, here's the principle. There's 2 passages that kind of form my understanding of this. One is in Deuteronomy, God says, you'll seek me and find me when you seek me with your whole heart. And that's a guarantee that anybody who wants God is going to have him. It just depends, some of us have more knowledge and access than others, right? But if the direction of your heart is Godward, you're going to have him. There's another passage in Acts chapter 17 where a preacher says that God placed us, human beings, in the time and the countries that they were in, so that we would seek after God, even though he's not far from us, right? So that means that the guy, 1,000 years ago, right, who didn't hear a word about Jesus at all, he's got that thing inside of him that's asking for the transcendent, right? And he's feeling his way to God. Acts 17 says God's not far from him. And so whatever he knows about God, if he wants God, then he's in. Jesus covers that. What's interesting to me is here we are. You're in, where are you? Australia?
I'm in England, UK.
You're in England. I'm in America. I was born in Jamaica. Christianity is a Middle Eastern religion. And yet here we are as Westerners, and we know the whole story, basically. So my point is, before Jesus, everybody was looking forward to some sort of savior figure. And if you look at any culture, there was some sort of savior figure who was going to save us, right? And so I don't believe that everybody before Jesus went to hell. I don't believe that. What I believe is I believe the same thing now as I do for the people back then. Everybody who wants God, genuinely wants God, is going to have him. Jesus is now the fullest and most perfect revelation of God, and what you do with Jesus now indicates the state of your heart, right? Like if you truly want God, then you will come through Jesus. And so the guy in the jungle 2,000 years ago or 50,000 years ago or whatever, if he truly wanted God, he's going to have him. And if he was around at this time, he would want Jesus. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, say it doesn't. Let's go.
Can I sort of expand on that a bit, though? Like, where does that? Maybe this is a separate point, but like, where does that play into people with mental health problems? I ask that as a very personal issue because, as I've been honest with you, I have a long battle with depression myself
Yes.
and serious mental health issues, and I just
Yeah.
let me reword this actually, and I swear this will be my final question. So I don't want to be hogging up all the time, but like one of the reasons that one of the things that makes me wonder, especially when I'm in my lowest, because like you must know yourself in that like certain people are very predisposed to depression, especially in a very clinical way. You know, like some people really feel it like a heavy weight. And actually, do you know what? Just to cut all the bullshit aside, I'm gonna ask what might seem like an almost childish question, but I really want to ask it because it's something I really mean. Why would God allow depression as a psychosis when He can just breathe it out of existence? Have people be clear-headed and not have that sort of horrendous self-doubt and self-hatred and this sort of knowing belief that you're not worth the shit you stand in, and like when you're really sort of battling that. I mean, when I'm personally sort of really battling that, like God is the furthest thing from my mind, if I'm honest. But like when I'm more sort of lucid and I look back on it retrospectively, and I mean, from an atheistic point of view, I could just say, well, you know, it's irrelevant. You know, God doesn't allow or disallow it. You know, it's just a chemical imbalance in your body. Some people are born with brains with faulty wiring. Some people have hard upbringings. You know, there's a whole million factors you could counter into why someone suffers from serious depression. You know, I don't know the story. I mean, you've alluded to yourself that you've had a battle with that. I don't know the story behind that, but yeah, I guess that's just a sort of really sort of honest from the heart question. Is like, if God could like get rid of depression as a not as like an external thing, because I mean, obviously, if you lose a child or lose a parent, you know, you're going to be depressed. That's the natural state of affairs. If someone rapes or molests you, or you have horrible shit happen in your life, you're going to be depressed again. That's like a natural reaction to the shit that's happened to you. But I guess like what I'm getting at is the sort of more like insidious medical depression. Like even when there's no external influence, like when it just comes from like a not so much a faulty brain. I really don't want to be disrespectful to anyone who like me has issues with depression. But like, let's say a faulty brain, for lack of a better term. I don't mean faulty to mean in any way less or worthless or anything like that. But why? Yeah, exactly. So I'm in that position, like when people are suffering from it, not necessarily from stuff that's happened to them or from any external influence, but just because it's there as a part of their being and as a physical thing, and that horrendous self-doubt and the crippling self-esteem and all of the weakness and horrible shit that comes from that. Like again, if you suppose Genesis 1:1 and God can do absolutely anything in His infinite power, He could also breathe away depression as a clinical illness.
Yeah, we actually.
He could make people clear-minded, like absent that, you know.
Yeah.
So
there's actually somebody.
I don't get.
There's actually somebody that was writing in on one of the questions here, Nicholas, who was saying the same thing. Like, I keep praying and God's not answering my prayers. Why is that? And I said, well, what are you praying for? And then he said that he was praying for God to take away his depression and help him get a job. So kind of goes along with this same thing. Like, why wouldn't God just do that? You know?
Yeah. Shout out to that guy, by the way. I know his pain, so I hope you get there, mate.
Yeah, and you know, so first of all, God seems to be very partial to people with mental illness. In the Bible, the greatest Bible heroes, it's clear they suffered with depression. Some of it was circumstantial, but some of it seemed to be random for no reason. So, like, for example, the Psalms. If you've ever read the Psalms, I mean, basically the trick is you just take your Bible and open it up halfway, and you'll land in the Psalms. They're full of, why are you doing this to me? I'm in darkness all the time. Tears are my food. What's wrong? Why are you abandoning me? I think I'm going crazy. I mean, stuff like that. And it's just, there's 100.
Yeah, it really hit home with that the Black Dahlia, the video I emailed you about, like that really, really hit me. You know, born unequal, labelled as insane. You know, unable to contribute to the well-oiled society. You know, that
Yeah.
shit really resonated with me.
And there's songs like that in the Psalms. Like, they've oppressed me from my youth, oh Lord. They like, so it's like that's in there, right? And sometimes the people are so depressed, they'll say to God, "Turn away from me, because I can't even deal with you," right? And like really raw mental, spiritual anguish, right? And then if you look at Christian history, so there's this very, very famous preacher, Charles Haddon Spurgeon. He'd preach, and then just thousands of people would show up. He was crippled with depression. There were some times where and they used to call it melancholy, because they didn't, it was the 1800s. They didn't have like real clinical ways of looking at it like we do now. And so he was so successful. I mean, he was living the dream, but he would be crippled for weeks on end. He couldn't get out of bed, literally, with depression. He just couldn't get out of bed. And here he is, one of the strongest preachers, but it just killed him. I mean, and he died pretty early. I mean, he died in his 50s, and he was afflicted with depression, and then other diseases that just like completely wrecked him. And then Jonathan Edwards, another very, very famous, successful preacher, struck with melancholy. And then David Brainerd, they all died of, was depressed pretty much most of his life, and then died a horrible death of tuberculosis. And I'm not comparing myself to those guys, but yeah, I overcame my depression in the sense of, I'm not going to kill myself, and I'm marginally successful and things like that. But I mean, Sori will tell you there's no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes I get up and I'm just, it's not happening today. Like, I'm not.
No, I feel you, mate.
Functional, right? And so then it's like, okay, well, why doesn't God just poof that away? That's not a consequence of any sin I've done. It's not a consequence of anything you've done. Like, it's not like there's nowhere in the Bible that says God afflicts you with mental illness because you fucked up somewhere. That's not there. So it's like, why didn't he just make that disappear? Here's what I've gotten, okay? I've never heard a person say that the most significant time of their life was when everything was going perfect for them. Most people will tell you, especially when they have kids, that the birth of their child was the most significant moment in their life, right? But here's the thing. You know how many women throughout history have died in childbirth? Childbirth is an eminently traumatic, terrible event. And so most of the major instances of life that we count as significant come attached with some sort of suffering. If you look at a couple for 50 years, that have been together for 50 years, what they'll say is, through all the struggles, we made it, right? Like, they always say things like that. They never say, oh, life was just a cruise ship for us. When they talk...
No, my mum said that about my dad, because they were together for 45 years before he passed.
What'd she say?
Sorry?
What'd she say? Like, did she talk about the ups and downs and how they stuck with each other and all that?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't until I was in my 20s that she told me some of the actual struggles they had, stuff that they protected me from when I was younger.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I know it's not all roses and peaches when it comes to marriage,
And think about a rock show. Why do we have mosh pits? Like, there's something about like being sweaty and pushing each other around, even though we love each other in the pit. There's something about like mutual suffering that binds people together in a way that just everybody being happy and clappy doesn't, right? And so the as much as I can tell now, and there are people in the Bible that deal with that are very raw with God about this and say, why are you doing this to me? And in my own life, I can tell you that there have been the moments in my life that are most significant with God are the moments when he met me in my dark places. And I feel like I know that God loves everybody, but I feel like he loves me more than everybody because of just how deeply he and I have related in my worst times. And when I was,
No, that's something you've talked about that before, and that's something I'm jealous of and wish I had. You
But-
know, if I'm being really honest with you.
and I know God loves Sori, but I just feel, but I'm not her. I've only experienced God as me, right? So I feel like he's got to love me more than everybody because of just the way that he met me when I was in just the worst, and how he's dealt with me when, you know, like you said, you've said things that you're not proud of and all this, and 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 when I'm down on myself the most, you know, and I've got a ton of shit to be down on myself about, and to know like underneath all that there's like, man, I still love you. Like you still, like when I'm the worst, when I know that I'm out of it, that even my like worst atheist friends would say, dude, that's wrong, what the hell is wrong with you? Like I know that he's there saying, I got you, I love you, I'm gonna forgive you. And there's so many things about my life and walk with God that have turned me into a more compassionate, kind, humble, understanding. You know, people when they say, "Oh, you guys are open-minded and all this, and you guys are compassionate," it's because of all that shit that I went through, and I was shown so much compassion and love by God that it makes me, you know, that I don't know if you were there when I talked to that Nazi kid. This kid was a Nazi.
No, I was. It took my breath away. Like, cause when I saw like, you know, Vin versus a Nazi will who will prevail or whatever that word was. I logged onto it, and the way you handled that, I actually genuinely I showed that to several of my friends. I was like, you know, do you know what? I don't care whether you give a shit about Vin and Sori. Just watch this. And when I showed it to my sister, who was also like very atheistic, I asked her a question. I was like, who do you know on the internet that would have shown that level of compassion to someone who logged on with a name, white power motherfuckers, you know, and got to not only like look past the shit he was saying, because actually I remember like what you were saying, like, because he was saying his stuff and you were really patient with him, and then you called him out and you're like, do you know what, bro, I don't believe this was because of one of your ancestors. There's something going on here. And he was like, you know what, I'll confess to you. And he told you about his hardships and the abuse he'd suffered. And you were like, well, what do you want from yourself, man? You know, you've been hurting since you knew before what it meant to. You know, and I was like, oh, that video, oh, I was so humbled by it. You know, I don't think I would have had that level of compassion. I wish I would have, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure I would have had that in that moment. So, you know, honestly, I not only watched that, but that's one of the things that made me love you guys so much.
But
sorry, Kurt, I interrupted you there.
But you see, the reason that I knew that there was pain behind that is because I've been in pain myself. And I've said things and done things that the Bible, they call it words for the wind. It's just people say shit when they're hurt that they don't really mean, but they're in pain. And so because I've been shown like the way that I treated that guy, people go, "Oh my gosh, like that is the way that I've felt God handle me." In because everybody in that room would have rightly judged that kid, and it was fine. Like I get it. But there have been times where if you'd have seen me in a different space and seen the things that I've done, everybody around me would rightly judge me. And because I was in a ton of pain, and then God came in and just handled me that way. And so when you get treated like that by God, you can't help but treat other people like that. You know what I mean? But I had to go through a whole bunch of pain and suffering to get that mentality so that I could love that guy. And when I told him I loved him, I genuinely meant it. But I had to experience a lot of pain and suffering to get to that point. See what I'm saying? And so now I look back, I've got scars on my arm because I did a whole bunch of self-harm when I was in the hospital. I've had things happen to me in my past that, you know, people email me.
Yeah, me too, man.
You know, but I'm so thankful that those things happened to me. Like there's not one tear that I would take back just to be able to love that kid for the 10 minutes that we were online, because I don't know what's going to happen with him after he and I hang up. See what I'm saying? So now I'm at the point where I wouldn't trade a single thing, and I'm glad that all those things happened, because it turns me into a person who, by God's grace, can see past all that stuff. And there's people, Ian, that you are going to touch, but you have to kind of carry that cross and bear that pain yourself, and you're going to have a level of compassion and a level of, I know how it feels, that's going to give you an opening to talk to a person. And I promise you, there's going to come a day when you say, okay, I wouldn't have had it any other way. You know, I'll leave you with this. There's one passage in the Bible. It's talking about Jesus and his suffering, and it's one of my favorite passages. It's in Isaiah 53, and it's just really significant to me, because I remember reading it one time, and I remember thinking to myself, I remember, hearing God speak to me, and I just remember being like, okay, like, this is what all of this is about. All the pain and suffering I've ever been through in my life. Like, there was just one verse that really stuck out to me, and I was like, damn, like, this is it. I don't think I said damn at the time. I think I said something. But so it goes, it's Isaiah 53, and it's talking about all the suffering Jesus went through. He's beaten beyond recognition. He was hurt.
What was that, Isaiah 53?
Isaiah chapter 53. Yeah, I mean, it just goes on. It actually starts in 52:13 and then on to the entire chapter of 53, and it just goes in description. He was beaten beyond human recognition. You wouldn't recognize him as a human being, just describing all the suffering he went through, right? And then it goes to verse 11, and verse 11 is so it goes, like, you're just hearing about all this suffering, like, all we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way. The Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed. He was afflicted. He was crushed by God. It just goes, it's like, God, okay, give me a break. Get me out of here. And then in verse 11, it says, out of the anguish of his soul, he shall see and be satisfied. And I'm like, whoa, because it's like, and I just heard God saying to me that all that pain and suffering Jesus went through, what got him through it was, okay, like, I'm saving billions of people through this. And when I see all those people that I saved in the world that I'm saving, it's going to be worth it, and I wouldn't change a thing. And so in that moment, God said to me, A, Vin, you're worth it. You're worth Jesus suffering for. And B, all the suffering that you have in your life, you're going to turn around and you're going to be satisfied in it, in all the anguish you've ever had, because you're going to see that it was part of something, and that there is a role that only you and your suffering could play. And that, to me, was like, that was a crazy moment where I was like, okay. And that's why we suffer in this world. It's because it's a way for God to connect us all to each other, because we're so arrogant without suffering. You know what I mean? Like we're so self-centered and selfish. All of us are. And if we didn't have suffering to connect us to each other, we would be a lot more discompassionate and arrogant than we already are, if that makes any sense.
No, actually, it really does, because, ironically, without suffering, metal music would be a bit shit, because, a lot of the metal music is somehow binds people together who have some form of suffering, so
yeah,
you've referenced that yourself. That's why metal music speaks to me so much. I've been a metalhead since I was 12 years old, so actually what you said there makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, buddy.
Anyway, I'll leave you and leave you, because it's 20 to 7 in the morning and I need to get to bed. And
all right, buddy.
I'm sure there's other people that's going to want to talk.
Thanks for calling in, Ian.
Sorry?
Thanks for calling in.
No, really, and I mean this genuinely. Thank you for talking to me and giving me the time. I love you guys, and I'll keep in touch, and keep spreading the good word and doing what you do. And Literally last thing, 10 seconds. Did you get my email about the Cradle of Filth song I requested? I'd love it if you could put that on a list somewhere, even if it takes 2 years to get around to it. I don't care.
What is it?
I absolutely agree with you, Vin. Danny Filth is the best lyricist of all time.
Oh, forget it. He's the greatest.
The song I requested was a song called Nymphetamine, which is off the album called Nymphetamine. And even in the title, you can see what he's done there with his lyricism. And yeah, I think after Sori gave the other one a 6, I'm not certain whether she'll like it or not. I think she'll appreciate the female vocals in it, but I reckon you'll see the lyricism masterpiece in it. It's my favourite. Well, it's not my favourite, because actually Tearing the Veil from Grace is, but it's pretty close. So yeah, if you could like put Nymphetamine, Cradle of Filth on a list and get around to it at some point, even if it takes you 2 years, you'll make me ecstatically happy.
All right, my brother.
All right.
Thank you very much, guys. Good night.
Love you, Eden. Have a good one.
Love you too. Bye.
It's a good egg.
Yeah.
It's a good egg.
Yeah. People were wondering if you could not take calls for a little bit so you can talk to them on the side, because
yes,
I think that, you know,
I was
it's
on your
true,
side
that
till you
does
said
always-
nymphetamine, and
that does always.
people want to talk to me.
They want to talk to us, but when there's one caller, they don't get a chance to talk because we're basically focused there. So they're like, I'm trying to be patient, but are you guys ever going to talk to us in the chat?
I see.
Because it's always calls every time. So
All
maybe
right.
we can do calls, and then in between we can take some time to like talk to people.
How do we send you gifts? P.O. Box 7024, Lewiston, Maine, Lewiston 04243.
There you go.
Walaikum assalam, ya blazing heat. Good to see you, buddy.
So we're focused on this side chat. So if you have something you want to say to us, yeah, we are talking to you, Adam.
I'm talking to you, Adam Shaw. New viewer here. What's up, Rob?
I'm an atheist, but I really like seeing your take on metal. Very interesting discussions, and I appreciate that you give everything a fair chance. Keep it up. Thank you.
Send us your address, Tina Banks. What's up, Mr. Nasser?
Aw, Aaron.
What?
Solid. He said he got a gift pack sent off today. Lilu, I will send a CD, Hypnosis, that will make you forget Bible forever.
Lilu. You know what? I think.
Vin, I'm going to send you H.P. Lovecraft books. The Slaughtered Lamb said that.
Yes, good.
Thank you very much.
We did that Septic Flesh song. It was called Lovecraft.
Should I keep donating or work on my psychology exam? You should probably work on your psychology exam.
Yeah, we need more psychologists.
Yeah.
Maybe I can visit you if you give me a freebie. Once you become a psychologist, will you give us free sessions?
Yeah.
We'll do a review.
Yeah, we'll trade.
Greetings from Croatia. Wow, that's crazy. Biblia para siempre.
Yeah, some people were like, wow, Vin looks like he's bored in this discussion, like, because he's not arguing back. And I was like, no, he's not debate. That's all. What this discussion was, not a debate. It was a discussion. And then other people were like, I'm really glad to see some like love, because I was starting to feel a little, you know, like they wanted to see some. So
I was listening closely to what he was saying.
Yeah. Hello from New Zealand. Well, hello. God hates sports. Okay.
Whoa, Joe. That's
What?
pretty crazy, my man.
Well, what do you say?
I appreciate that. That's very significant. That's cool.
Wow.
Hello from Norway. I think, babe, Norway is going to be on the bucket list. I've got to visit Norway.
Oh.
I love Norway.
Let's go all over the place.
No, I really, really do.
I'm good. I'd love to go visit places like that.
What are you pointing to?
I don't remember now. It's too late to apologize. I have serious questions. Yeah, Tyler, go ahead, ask the question.
No one is qualified to psychoanalyze Vin. I don't know if that person does. Is it a guy or a girl? does their thingamajig,
Yeah, then they would.
then they would.
Aw, Dan Woods. I miss you, Dad, and I love you.
Finn, would you ever start a book club? Yes. There's a lot of things that I want to do that I think Sori constantly says like my goals are bigger than what we have time for.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, we're
getting
gotta
closer.
get full time, and when we get full time, there's gonna be more time for things. But right now, like, it was like we started out doing one fireside a week, and the last like 2 videos ago, you're like, we do like three firesides a week. I'm like, fuck. So can't do everything. But I think that it would be good for him to do a book club. I think he would thoroughly enjoy it. And
I
like
would.
everybody would like learn so much. I just don't know. Because right now we're trying to start up the podcast. So we're like moving like our discussions and stuff and putting them in podcast form. You want to tell people where that's at?
I don't. Well, it's everywhere. It's in iTunes. Just look for Vin and Sori.
Yeah, so you can.
Just look for Vin and Sori in iTunes.
And we're up on different places.
Which I'm trying to convert everything we've done on video to podcast, so people have more options for listening.
Mm-hmm. Also, I said this. I'm going to announce it again in the video tomorrow. But Ultimate Musings is going to one of those. I guess Game of Thrones does like these orchestra thing. Like,
I know. It's
like amazing, and he got 2 VIP passes, one for himself, and he was going to actually take one of his friends, but then he was like, you know what? I'm going to take a villager. So if you're interested in going that, you have to live like in the Massachusetts, Connecticut area, and it's on September 28th. So if you're interested in that, in the next video, tomorrow's main stage video, I almost said what it was. I give the information right at the beginning where you can email him and then let him know that you're interested in going, and you guys can have like a little discussion or FaceTime each other so you get to know each other a little bit or whatever. But
do you agree that God came to the earth?
You have to be over 21 though.
Do you agree that God came to the earth in the form of Ronnie James Dio? Yes, because Ronnie James Dio is an image bearer of God. So in that sense, he
good, Vin.
I just vocally, man, that guy. I think that Halford is amazing. I just think Dio is the best, man.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that I've never heard him before this channel. If it wasn't for this channel, I'd have never ran into Dio. So I'm very, very happy about that. Yeah, I'd like to get an interview with Danny Filth myself. For sure.
Somebody said I look like Danny Filth. It's weird.
No, you do not look.
Somebody said that.
There's a statue of Dio in somebody's country. That's crazy.
Really?
Yikes. Yes, Graham Hancock and the Global Cataclysm. Yes, I have his talks with Joe Rogan. And it was very interesting because he basically said, well, shit, that flood thing might have happened. It was very interesting. Is Pony still in the room?
Ben, stop thinking so concretely. It doesn't just mean like visually what you see. People are artistic. People are kind. People are exciting and amazing. And we love music. And they're all the attributes. So just what you see visually.
I appreciate you, Mike. What branch of the military were you in? Absolutely, Aaron. I do. Where's Pony?
No, artistic, not autistic.
Although if you're autistic, that's awesome too. We need more autistic people.
Sori really doesn't look like Danny Filth. He looks like a corpse painted goblin. There's Pony right there.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen her in a while. I'm like, where's Pony? Wish they just released that Unleash the Archers to the public.
You want to?
No. Why are we so amazing and repulsive at the same time?
You know what? If you want to see it, email me.
Email us if you want to see the Unleash the Archers video. All right, Overshadow Sean. Yeah, if Aaron, if you can find the clip. Whoa.
Oh, thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Aaron, if you could find that clip of him talking to Joe Rogan about it, I think it would be very intriguing.
Quick Google search says Bulgaria has the only Dio Memorial. It does look pretty damn cool.
Where are the donations going? They go to Super Chat, and then they go into a big, whoa, Slaughtered Lamb. Would you ever react to D's Nuts? This is not a joke. They are a hardcore band from Australia. I suggest Binge and Purgatory. It's on the list. They do deserve a second chance.
Yes, Mr. Mason, we did.
Yeah, if there's, I mean, we handle Unleash the Archers like everything else. If there's enough requests for it, we're going to do it. I mean, and like I said, I'm biased, but we can be converted.
Stargazer by Rainbow is on my short list, actually.
You mentioned that today.
I did. But you were like, we already did Dio.
Army, going to join the Air Guard now.
Thanks,
probably
Matthew.
soon, hopefully. Whoa, Mike. That's, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Matthew.
You've got mail.
Matthew, we can talk about the 5 people thing after, depending on how long you want to stay up.
Blind Guardian, yeah.
Can you react to
No, Mr. Mason, we never published it because we didn't like the song so much that we stopped reviewing it. And then we were like, close that box. We're not doing this. And then we released it to our patrons. So that's how some people know what we did. But everybody else is like, send it to I want to know. I want to see.
As a longtime joke. Whoa,
Don't
Core
watch
Puncher.
it if you're easily offended.
Whoa, Core Puncher.
Whoa.
I appreciate you, my guy. As to the question of where does the money go, all that money we don't touch because we're just dumping everything into a big pile so that we can work on full time. So we haven't touched any of that money yet.
We want to be able to go full time and, possibly move to a spot that has. We're in an apartment right now, so we're super crowded. This is our bedroom, and we've got like the studio in our bedroom, so we're like super crowded. So we're like, if we can, get ourselves situated so we have like a studio room and we can have our regular room and kind of just be able to do more things. Like Vin wants to be able to do the book club and probably more different types of firesides. We want to be able to do some gaming with people too. I'm not sure how that's going to work itself out. And then being able to watch more movies with you guys and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that has to happen. One of the things is that our internet sucks, and it's projected that in Maine we're going to have really good internet by the end of this year. So if that's true, then that's going to also open us up to some really cool possibilities.
Yeah. Like doing
Ultimate Musings. I just announced your thing.
Yeah. We just announced
Ultimate
your
Musings. Write down your email address right now so I can copy and paste it for everybody. So if anybody wants to go to your Game of Thrones thing, they can email you.
Whoa, what's Roadrunner United? That sounds like... So Roadrunner is like Slipknot, has all these big bands on it?
Yeah, I don't know.
What platforms do you... Thank you, Charles Hall.
Yeah,
definitely that'll be on the list. What platforms do you game on? Right now I'm on Xbox. Thank you, Moshmaster. That's on the album. I mean, that's on the thing.
Tell somebody it's on the list, please write it down.
Okay. Old school fan, hold on. Repeat the thing. Repeat your question. Does the rain in Maine fall mainly in the plain? My Fair Lady, Walrus. My brother is an actor. He's doing other stuff now, but he was in that play, My Fair Lady. So the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain. That's that's a thing. Anyway. Somebody said something about Nurgle. Whoa! Thank you, Felipe. Somebody said something about Nurgle removing a tattoo. If you could only bring one thing from the Earth to represent humankind to another universe, what would it be? That is such a good question. God, I'm not sure because it's only one thing, so I don't want to fuck it up. Maybe a movie. Nurgle had a big goat Baphomet head on his shoulders, but it's gone now. Huh. That's very interesting. It would probably be a movie or a book, but I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on a hypothetical master religion that can please followers of all the three Abrahamic religions? You know what's ironic is that I don't really think that there's much issue between Judaism and Islam. It's kind of ironic, but I think it's they're pretty much very, very close together. If Khaled is still in the room, he can vouch for this. But I think Christianity, because of the idea that God actually it came in the flesh in the person of Jesus Christ, makes it incompatible with Judaism and Islam. So I think the only way to make that work would be to eliminate Christianity. There's no way to harmonize those other two. Khaled is in here. I don't know. Maybe he can talk about that. What are your thoughts on Hermeticism and other esoteric subjects? You know, I considered it for a while. I don't really have any thoughts on it. Well, go deeper into that question. As a long time, Damon, I saw that. How he kind of flip flops. I think like the biggest one that I saw was he was talking to these vegan guys, and they had done this amazing documentary, and it was about the industry and all this stuff, and like he was really like with them, and then there's a guy that came on and like debunked everything, and then he was with them, and it was like night and day. Part of me feels like I'm kind of like that too. Like you go where the data takes you. Thank you, Slaughtered Lamb. You go where the data takes you. So it's like that we're supposed to go where the data takes us. So you're supposed to change your mind if you get new data. But so it's kind of weird, you know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I don't think he's doing it to just placate his audience. Because I've seen him disagree stridently with his guests as well, like Candace Owens on global warming or David Rubin on the role of the federal government. Like, he's disagreed with people stridently, so I don't think he's placating his guests. I just think he's such a thinker and he's so open-minded that he's just trying to go where the data takes him in the moment, I think.
So somebody was asking if we old school fan wanted to know, did you ever get into wrestling? You're watching it.
Oh, of course. Thank you, Tina.
Thanks, Tina.
WWF.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was a huge Monday Night Raw, The Rock, Stone Cold. The Attitude Era in wrestling was the greatest. That was the greatest time.
I was never. Is that where they like pick people up and throw them?
Yeah, throw them to a chair and all that stuff.
No. I don't think I would have even been allowed to watch that growing up, but I've never had any interest in that. I feel like it's so fake, and honestly, I'm too prideful. I feel so embarrassed when I'm watching it. I cannot believe there are grown people.
What do you mean it's fake?
Okay, we've seen
People have died in the ring. You realize that?
Ronda Rousey, when she's doing her wrestling things with the thing, and now she's doing it on that channel that seems all fake. And there's a big difference between the two ways she was fighting.
People have died in the ring.
One of them looks mad serious, and the other one just looks like it's a circus show.
It's entertainment. It is a show, but you can't say it's all fake. Like, they break bones, they die, they get paralyzed. Like,
that's crazy.
You can't fake falling off of us 18 feet to the ground on a steel cage. The Mankind versus Undertaker.
Okay, right there. The pain is real, but the motivation is fake. I feel like the whole thing is staged.
No, the motivation isn't fake. A lot of these guys really don't like each other.
Whatever.
Vin, book by Yarlowski coming. Thank you. I hope it's not the one I already read. What's it titled? Do you believe in the Lord and Savior Chulu? No. It's fake, but they do put their bodies on the line.
Sorry, it's not fake. It's scripted. There's a big difference. Yeah, okay, yes, that's what I mean.
Thank you. They get hurt.
No, okay. When I mean fake, I meant scripted. I didn't mean that nobody's actually getting hurt. I did. Yeah, okay.
Okay, hold on. We're going to take calls in like 10, 15 minutes if you can wait, because I've been I've been on the phone for a while, so I wanted to interact with the people a little bit. But I do want to talk about black metal.
Vinnie Mac.
Vinnie
A
Mac.
soap opera with steel chairs. Yes, that's what I feel like
Well,
it
that
is.
was when wrestling was at its best. The Attitude Era. Vin, if that is Lilu, well, yeah, if it was Lilu, I would pick
Yeah.
up the phone. But it's not Lilu.
Nope.
It's a True Cult. I bet for a long time Vin thought that the wrestling is for real.
Did you?
Well, when I was a small kid, my brother and my Uncle Danny got into this giant argument. My brother was crying, you know, because he believed in Hulk Hogan. He was like 8, 9 years old.
Oh man.
And then I'm like, why is Uncle Danny saying that it's not real? I'm like, they're clearly being I'm like, he's clearly being punched. And so they taped it and he's like, look upon him face. You know, it's just, I don't know.
Look upon his face.
Jesus is born September, where is that, 13th?
I wish there was a way to drink from this without having to tip my head. You know what they should
Somebody
make?
said Jesus was born September something, yeah.
You know how they have...
I think Jesus was born September 11th, true story.
You know how they have those jar covers that go onto mason jars and it has a little straw hole?
Yes.
They should make one that fits perfectly onto these bottles. So then you can just stick your straw down into it. That'd be nice. Yes, I know, but the top is open and I'm so klutzy. I will drop it onto my...
People are like, it's
computer.
called a straw.
I know. I want a cover with a straw stuck in it. People don't listen.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm going to announce you if you call within the next 8 minutes and say, oh, disobedient.
Look, I just want to talk for 15 minutes to the chat because I've neglected the chat for about an hour. So it's not that I'm being rude and not picking up. It's just I wanted to talk to the chat. That's all. Sorry.
I don't
There's
know.
There's a lot of lawsuits. Look, scroll down, babe. Look.
Super lax.
There's a lot of lawsuits.
I don't know if he is, but I am not. Sorry, what?
There's a lot of lawsuits about the WWF or WE because of brain injury.
I didn't
there's
say,
your fake-
honey.
there's your
when I
fake
said
wrestling.
fake, what I meant was scripted. That's what I meant.
Can somebody explain to me about this California straw thing? Because I've heard, but I don't really believe that like you could really spend jail time. Like, can
I don't believe that
somebody
either.
give me a quick download about what the hell is happening with the California straw thing?
Yeah, but Lilu, this is the thing. I don't want something that I have to clean or pour stuff into. I get a package of these waters for like $5. I stick it in my fridge, which is literally 2 steps away. And then anytime I'm thirsty, I just grab one of them. I don't want to have to keep filling up water bottles and sticking them in.
Hey,
I just want it.
Please be careful with that bottle.
It's empty, honey.
Okay.
You see
I'm
how
just
worried
saying,
he is? Because he
please
knows
be
I'm
careful.
klutzy. That's why I'm saying there needs to be a cover with a hole just perfect enough for a straw. But you know what I don't like is those metal straws. I got a package of those so the kids could all have... Oh, it's so gross tasting that metal.
Vin, fella, I really want to pick up on your comment about simultaneous truths in the Testament video.
Yes, Finn.
What did I say?
We see you.
What did I say about simultaneous truths in the Testament video? So delineate that a little bit more. Sori needs a sippy cup.
He would totally, agree with you on that.
Favorite Tool record?
I just can't get enough
Lateralis.
water.
Lateralis. I've only heard one Tool record, but Lateralis is probably going to be... We're going to do an Enema album review pretty soon, but Lateralis for sure.
Have you ever read The Emerald Tablet? I don't know if we're going to react to Earthlings because... I don't know. Somebody buy Sori a little adult sippy bottle thing.
Undertow is one of their best. Hey, Matt, do me a favor and what's the best song from Undertow?
You know what? I sometimes picture him with his hair grown out too, and I think it would look kind of sexy. But I don't think he would do it. Oh, and when I met him, he had like a big afro. He would like puff it.
Are we going to get a Sodom reaction? For sure.
I picture
Chris
it with
Benoit.
like the dreads that are... Whoa, you guys, wait till you see what
Oh
Jesse
shit,
made.
Elio Mike is here. Oh yes, Jesse
It is
Dave.
like freaking
I gave him...
unbelievable.
What did we do?
You said, I'm giving him 2 points for his alliance. I'm like, give him 10 points for the alliance.
So whoever's in Jesse's alliance,
seriously,
you just got 10
I
points.
want that thing like this big, friggin' framed in our living room.
I want to pay it. I want to pay it because pay for something really big because
yeah, but
it was unbelievable.
Oh my word! I don't know if it can. I wish he was on the chat. I don't even know if it can be blown up that big or if it will get all weird looking.
I gotta talk to him.
You do.
I loved it. It was so great. It was so good. Oh my
word! I'm gonna put it in a few. I'm gonna put it somewhere. I want you guys to be able to see this. He made us like Vikings.
What about Varg Nexus? Seriously, guys, it's getting lost in the chat, but Varg, I'm getting frustrated. Varg? What about Varg? Did you get in contact with Varg Nexus?
Okay, Finn Doe wants you to see him. You see him? Or her?
Yeah, there's... Leave it.
Parkway Drive crushed? We already did that.
We already did that one.
Look it up.
Sorry, can you point out where on a flower the hymen is?
Yes, it was that piece in the middle. Inside.
Ben's my guy.
I put it on the video. The next one after.
Ben's my guy. Shh, he's in True Cult. Dude, I love Varg. I love him. Where is he?
No, I've never heard the Grateful Dead.
Stop watching porn. We agree.
Yep.
Don't watch porn. Where you going, Tyler Crew?
Have you ever listened to any Machine Head?
No.
Kazi, see, I don't think it would look
actually, we do. We do. Actually. Sori's related to some people, Sebastian. It's not MS, though.
He's going to watch the Jungle Height video this week, but has some interesting views on interracial couples, Christians, and so on. Going to be interesting, LOL.
Okay. How do you know he's going to watch it?
Yeah. How do you know he's going to watch it?
And tell him, you know the deal. Tell him I don't have a problem that he has a problem with miscegenation. That doesn't bother me. I'd like to talk to him. Parkway Drive is Z. The Dark Lord Sauron himself. That's a pretty badass name. Fear Factory. Yes, I wish more people would ask for Fear Factory.
Testament does not sound like Metallica. It does. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Who said that?
This person here.
Did somebody say that Testament doesn't? Okay, you know what? Let me ask this question. Did that particular Testament song sound like Metallica?
That's fair enough. Have you ever been to Vegas? This is like the dime slots. Shit flashes by and flash. Insane.
Belkalor?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
After this stream, I'm probably going to watch porn. You shouldn't, though, Ben.
Nope.
It's not healthy.
No, it's really not.
Can't wait until you guys get into post-metal. You'll definitely dig it. The closest thing you've probably heard so far is Agalok. Whoa, if there's more Agalok, that would be great.
Why does Sori always block Vin from the monitor? What does that mean? Jay, sorry for yelling. LOL. I never saw you yell.
Did he yell? No Chevelle? No, we can do some Chevelle.
Hello, Noah.
We were just talking about you, my guy. Yeah, a lot of people were telling us to listen to Belcor after the underground show tonight.
Okay, listen. The reason why I keep telling people this, our battery for the alarm, I don't know what it is with this apartment, but I literally changed the battery and then 10 minutes later, it starts beeping all over again. If I leave that battery in there, it'll go beeping, 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 and then all of a sudden randomly, it'll stop beeping for like X amount of time, 5 days maybe, a week, and then it'll start right back up again. It obviously has a problem, but I don't know. It's very annoying.
Did you see my mention in Patreon? I haven't checked Patreon yet. We'll check Patreon right after the stream.
Do you guys save these chat logs so you can remember who to look up?
Well, yeah.
It's all saved in here.
It's all saved automatically. You go back and look at it.
Yeah.
All the logs are there.
I don't look back at anything. I just look to the future. Not to the past.
As far as Hermeticism goes, the thing is, for me, like, is it going to work in this world, in the real world? And so I think Hermeticism works in the real world under certain conditions, but not the conditions that are common to all of us. I don't know if that makes sense. But part of me feels like, should there be a segment of our society that practices it, for the sake of the whole? And if there is a way to connect those two, then I'd be more apt to, like, really, really look into it, if that makes any sense.
Yes, you can be a Christian and swear. Being a Christian doesn't mean you're perfect. It just means that you understand that you're not perfect and that you need Jesus to help you and forgive you and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. Can you be a Christian and swear? If you're saying, is it possible to be a Christian and swear, then the answer is obvious. Yes. But can you, as in, do you have the permission to be a Christian and swear? I think that's a separate question.
True.
I'm not convinced that obviously I'm not convinced that it's wrong to swear as a Christian.
Whoa, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Ziltoid by Devin.
Do a listen through of Ziltoid
by
Devin.
Devin Townsend.
Oh man, I want Devin Townsend again. We should probably Ziltoid though. That one hasn't been asked for very much.
Nope, never heard of it before.
Yeah, Noah Big Scooter. Yeah, there's the big homie. Glad you and your family made it onto the ark.
Lilo.
Can you be a Christian and play a trombone?
That's a very interesting question.
I gave you $5. Now listen to Silent Planet, please. Thanks. We metalcore kids are great, fun brethren.
That's true. We haven't listened to any Sepultura, and honestly, since like 100 subs, people have been asking for Sepultura.
Can you remind me tomorrow?
What do you think about sex before marriage? I don't think you should do it. I think you should have that. It's not the paper, it's the lifetime commitment. I think that's one of the few things that can inoculate us from using each other.
You need to watch American Horror Story Asylum. That doesn't sound like it's my type of movie.
Varg at gmail.com. Gojira rules. Hey, guys.
Everyone should email and petition for reaction.
Hold on. Hey, guys, can you hear me out? Yes, we can hear you out. What's up? You'll do more Agalok stuff, yes. Gojira rules. He had a question, I think. Does Vin like bacon?
Oh, Ultimate Musing. Really? I didn't know that.
Vin loves bacon.
Yeah, he does. You know what I do with it? I buy that thick bacon.
Enough with the ghost reaction.
No way.
You need to watch
you can't separate me from Ghost.
You need to watch the Zeitgeist movies on Netflix. I've already watched the Zeitgeist movies. They're very funny.
Sori seems like the type of person to like American Horror Story. Would I like something like that?
I don't know. I haven't watched American Horror Story. I'm not omniscient.
Oh, shoot. I was about to say something to the people and then I got sidetracked. Anyway, Mark, I didn't know about that.
Whoa. Thank you, CM.
The album sent him a bit bonkers? Really?
Yes, I've seen Passion of the Christ. What album sent who bonkers?
Devin Townsend. The Christine.
Well.
My word.
Hey, we were wearing the same shirt. Stop lying.
Who? You and him?
Oh, you and him. He's
knows?
wearing a Sori secret shirt.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he's not wearing this shirt.
If anybody wants one of these Sori secret shirts that says maybe you're sick because of your secrets on the back, you can just PayPal Vin and Sori merch at gmail.com is our PayPal thing. It's $25 for a shirt and free shipping. If you're outside the US, you have to pay $15 for shipping.
You know, I came this close to getting an interview with the dude from For Today, but he had other stuff to do.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. That Benadryl, man.
What NFL team do you actually support? Oh, that's the Patriots. That's God's team, obviously.
Tina, will you do Sori socks?
Vin, do you have any advice on how to pick up women like Sori? You gotta be an alpha male. That's pretty much... It's definitely not for the looks, obviously. You gotta be an alpha male.
Guardian, you can, we do every size like that because I have to order it. But if you have a special size, like say you need a 5X, I can order you a 5X. It'll just take a little bit because I have to get a certain amount of orders before I can place the order. So, but yeah, I can get any sizes, you know. I mean, I don't know if there's a 10X, but I definitely know that they have 5X because I've already ordered a 5X.
Immortal Techniques dance with the devil.
If you pick up women any other way, it's awkward.
Not gonna do Shining.
Oh my gosh, Kevin. I just had 2 flights that together took over 30 hours
Oh my
of
gosh.
traveling. Any advice on music to stay awake?
Slipknot. That always keeps me
Yeah.
awake.
Unroll the windows too. Let the or just don't make your car too warm. I've literally fallen asleep while driving. Frank John, I think maybe you're right, but somebody sent me a picture of like there's a certain type of flower that has a hymen.
Whoa, Mark, that's pretty badass. Thank you.
Vin likes baby metal. He listens to it. You just can't react to it on a reaction channel because you'll get strikes and they'll literally shut down your channel. So we can't. We're not about to leave you guys that easily.
Woods of Ypres. Everybody keeps asking about that band.
Immortal Technique too.
Is that
I've
on the
seen
short
one a bunch of
list?
times.
Immortal Technique is a rapper. Woods of Ypres or Ypres or whatever.
Nope.
That's definitely got to be on the short list.
Where's my short list?
I don't know.
Honey.
It's an envelope, babe.
I know. That's how you know it's short, if it's all in an envelope. Look, I'll give you guys a flash of the short list.
Oh my gosh.
No, I didn't mean to do that. It's right here.
Yikes.
Is the short list. Not sure if you could see anything there.
It's pronounced Eeps. Okay. Eeps. Very good.
Ultimate Musing going to 2 Patriots games this year.
Yes.
He wants to go really badly too.
Yo, Musings, let me know when
I
you're
was gonna
going,
say,
my
maybe
guy.
we'll land at the same one.
Yeah, let me know when you're going to the Patriots game, my dude. We definitely got to do that this year, inshallah. It's pronounced Woods of Ypres. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Oh, we're gonna write it down.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh, I'm pulling everything.
And yes, you are. Ypres, battles in World War II. World War One. Okay.
How do you spell it? Ypres?
I suggested Tourniquet a long time ago and said it was on the short list. Didn't we do Tourniquet?
Tourniquet? Tourniquet? Marilyn Manson?
Oh, he suggested Tourniquet. It's a Christian band. Instead, we did Marilyn Manson.
Oh, that's unfortunate for you.
We talked to a guy in a Christian band a couple days ago. People have been requesting, and he actually reached out to us. And I was like, yeah, man, we're going to get around to doing your band. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, you ain't going to do that. Stop lying. Being a pacifist, would you harm someone to directly protect your family? Yeah, I think being a pacifist for me means at this point in my life, I'm done with lethality. Like that question, that option is off the list. And then it comes down to, if you're going to use physical force, you have to treat that person like you treat your own son. So if my son lost his mind and decided he was going to kill everybody, I would stop him physically, but I wouldn't do anything more than necessary. And so if I can do that, then I'll feel like I'm still upholding my ideals, because it's there you are. That's my bet. That's the best version of myself talking. I don't know. I haven't been in the situation yet, so I don't know.
Frosty ST, thank you. And yeah, there'll be more Cradle of Filth for sure.
Very soon.
And OP Damascus, Sori is a pretty lady, but Vin is too chill to be an alpha. I keep getting autocorrected. Vin is Bin. He's alpha. He makes other alphas look like bitches. I'm telling you, when you meet him in person.
All right. There's no need.
I will say what I want to say.
All right.
James, thank you. Periphery, the bad thing. Ragnarok.
Ragnar Lothbrok.
That one I've seen a lot too. Ragnarok.
Thank you, Gojira. Much respect to you too. What about the band Jesus Ain't in Poland? That's an interesting. You're chill as an iceberg. Do you get too meta in that podcast? Well, it was the title of the podcast was meta.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think you went there. You did what you needed to do.
Somebody said we were a cute couple.
I appreciate
Killer
that.
Pickle.
Inshallah.
Suicide Silence. Is that a band?
Yes. I didn't claim the role, Dark
Yeah,
Waters.
I know he. I'm the one that said it. He was the one telling me chill. Oh no, you did. You said you were alpha when you were answering the question.
No, they just said, "How do you get a girl like Sori?" And I said, "Be an alpha." I didn't say I'm an alpha. I just said, "Be an alpha."
Babe.
I'm surprised you enjoyed Batushka. Cisco, the thong song. Why would you be surprised that I enjoyed Batushka? Batushka is actually one of my favorite bands right now. When you come to Norway, you should be... Satyricon is coming soon, believe me.
Oh yeah, I used to listen to DC Talk. Jesus freak.
Oh my gosh.
What? Are you irrepressible? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
OP Damascus, you say that another way?
Yes, Batushka's Oscar. Yektenya 4, man. You should check out Dr. Mike Heiser's work and statements on YouTube and other ways. I'm a disciple of Michael Heiser. I'm a big fan of Michael Heiser. When we do the Pantheon, I think we're going to do a Bible study called Are Odin and Thor Real? And a lot of that is going to come from Heiser's work. Because I do believe in a sense that Odin and Thor are real, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, Steven. Are laughing at me? What will people say when they hear that I'm Jesus?
Oh my gosh.
What will people say when they find out it's true?
Have you read any N.T. Wright? Yes. His book on the resurrection is amazing. What?
Anderson Prime. LOL, Vin is definitely an alpha. Have you seen how he eats breadsticks?
It's true.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't see the problem with beta. Like, if everybody's an alpha, like, nothing would get done. Because you wouldn't get the people that can, like, bind other people together. There's nothing wrong with being a beta. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, Nexus, wear your sorry shirt when you go.
Well, what's your favorite Nirvana? I don't know what essay. Do you have plans for more? Do you watch
Song or album, I'm guessing that.
Do you watch the Joe Rogan Experience? I watch Joe Rogan a lot. Favorite Nirvana song is the Teen Spirit.
It's the only one I know, so.
Is it morally right to try and have children? If I and my partner know that I'll pass on hereditary familial motor neuron disease, don't believe in abortion, should I refrain from kids? Let it die. Well, from a biblical perspective, it's God that opens and closes the womb. And so if you have a child that is most likely going to end up with that type of disease, love the child for as long as God gives you the child. And then let him make those decisions. Those aren't our decisions to make. So I definitely think it's moral, because if God gives you the child, then you love the hell out of him. Mm-hmm. Right? So go for it.
Plus, like, if you have some sort of a disease, do you think that it would be better if you were dead? Like, you have the disease and you're choosing life for yourself, and I'm sure that the child would choose to live for as long as it could as well. Oh my gosh, Steven. So let me fill you guys in. So Steven said, hey, what are your kids like? So I thought he meant he was going to draw a picture because he's an amazing artist. So I'm like, well, our youngest daughter wanted just like the face of a unicorn, and then the other one wanted a Pegasus. And so the next day after I already told Steven, I was like, all right, well, I told Steven about it, so hopefully he'll be drawing those things for you soon. And so I told the oldest one, I said, and he's working on your Teletubby. She's like, what's a Teletubby? And so I showed her a picture of a Teletubby. I'm like, why would you ask me what that is? You told You told me that's what you wanted him to make for you. So I've got her all worked up that you're making her a Teletubby. I said, if you want, I can ask him to like maybe slim it out a little bit and add some wings onto it. And she's like, because she was hoping for like this amazing Pegasus. Now she's thinking she's getting a Teletubby. I told Vin, I'm like, you got to jump in on it with me. And
I'm a fan of socialism. I feel like the capitalism that we have is way too fucking is unhuman. And we got a lot of uninsured people and people in terrible situations, and I'm not a fan of like pure capitalism at all. So there's that. Somebody messaged me and told me that socialism was evil. I don't know enough about socialism to really do anything, so I actually want to have that discussion because I want somebody to kind of delineate to me where socialism can go really, really bad. Because I don't think it can go really bad, but I just want to know what socialism is going to do to people that's worse than what capitalism is doing with people. So,
bye, Dark Waters.
I was a big fan of Bernie Sanders. I think the DNC really fucked a lot of shit up with this election because I would never vote for Hillary Clinton under any circumstance, but I would have. I don't really take part in the political process, but I would have for Bernie.
Old school fan, we didn't forget about you. I just didn't remember which person it was supposed to go to. Can you send me an email and in the subject put asterisks and put my name, and I will get that sent out to you.
Damn.
Sorry.
Our bad.
Yep. I asked Vin, I was like, who is that supposed to go to? He was like, they'll reach out to us again because.
In my opinion, focus on particular issues and solutions and forget capitalism and socialism and other nonsense. Yes, but when you talk about things like Obamacare, for example, they go, "Oh, that's socialism." You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't care. I don't care what you call it. I just care about like finding ways to make sure that all of our people are like generally good without people abusing the system to the tune of billions of dollars. So whoever can figure that out, that's who I want.
Rotting Flesh, we just got married in March 1st, 2018. So honestly, like we started this channel like a couple weeks after we got married.
Yeah.
So.
That's an issue in solid, yeah. How about a podcast on wolves in sheep's clothing? Yeah, in what context?
I know, Rotting Flesh, I'm so tired. I don't know if I'm literally tired or if it's just the Benadryl.
You need to talk about social. I don't know. I don't know much about this topic, guys. I just emotionally don't like pure capitalism. So what I need is to listen to a socialist, like a hardcore we need socialism and a hardcore no we need capitalism, and I need to see them talk to each other because I got to figure I don't know enough about any of the topics to, right now it's just emotional for me.
When is your next gift opening video? What we try to do is when we get at least three pieces of 3 gifts we open, but sometimes like by the time we get 3 we get piled with like 5 or 6. So I'm honestly thinking that there's going to be another one within the next couple days. Now we have to wait till Monday to go to the post office.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah, Bernie was the best. I agree. I'm a hardcore for life capitalist.
Wow.
I feel very strange saying this, but I've been a racist for all my life, and I'm slowly becoming a better person. You help me out on this, Vin. I know it's immoral, but I can't help but judge.
It's immoral. Yeah.
Well, John, I mean, this is why we talk about self-awareness, right? Like, you're self-aware. Like, you're a racist, okay. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of other redeemable qualities about you. And this is the reason why I'm not a fan of, like, completely eliminating somebody from the conversation because they hold a certain view. Like, Varg doesn't believe in miscegenation, a.k.a. race mixing or whatever. And, he's for his folk. There's parts of that I can say, okay, like I see where he's coming from. There's other parts where I'm like, okay, I want to talk to him and see exactly where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I just want to get an understanding of the guy. Just because he says something doesn't mean I agree with it, but it also doesn't mean I'm going to write him off as like some horrible, terrible person. So that's a very brave thing to say in a chat that thousands of people are going to end up watching. I don't know if you knew that or not, my brother, but It's all good.
If you know racism is wrong, why don't you just not be a racist? Doesn't seem like a tough problem to solve. Well, if you have mindsets and you have feelings about something, you can't just change them. Like,
And then you combine that with experiences.
yeah.
And just change it.
Oh my gosh.
How can one not believe in race mixing? In other words, he doesn't believe it's right. Good Lord. Socialism does not work.
Ooh,
I don't.
did you ever have a chance to watch Knowledge in the Forever Time? That sounds interesting.
He sent me something. I was watching that right before the July 4th thing. We had to go to your play or whatever.
No, we are going to have more Ghost. I'm not distancing myself from Ghost. Please. I actually have one on the list, on the short list. There's a Ghost song. Starts with an M.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated. So Ben's whatever accused him of being racist because he's never dated a black woman. But Varg lives in France with his French wife. That's funny because Varg isn't French. Thank you for that piece of data, Nexus, because I need to know that.
Sorry, slowly coming to the dark side. I love that the Ghost Song Bible. I listen to it quite a bit, but for me, it's like it's funny because when you were referencing it earlier, I didn't know that was in that one because I never listened to it to the end. I listened to the beginning when he's telling like what happened in the beginning, and then the chorus where it says to pray for Babylon, like who will pray for Babylon, and then I always have an experience with God like when I listen to it. And I listen to it quite a bit.
My thoughts on suicide is that having been through it twice, it's a very painful experience for the family. But I can't judge anybody that's done that. All I can tell people is just take it day to day. Don't do it. And Varg being white probably passes as French. Yeah. Later, Jarhead. Yes, Berman, but in both cases, life is not ours to take.
Ki, is that the one that makes the list for us? Where
yes.
Okay. Ki, do you have it broken up so that way we know which Ghost songs we've listened to, which Slipknot songs we've listened to? Because I could really use that to reference to get all my playlists accurate and up to date.
See, Foo Fighters, he's lived in a social democracy for 50 years, and he's doing fine. So, I mean, what the hell? I'm not with all this alarmist like, oh, if we have any sort of socialist policies, we're going to descend into communism. Like, I don't believe that.
What's your favorite sitcom of all time?
I don't know. I don't think... Have you read any of the Gnostic Writers? I'm pretty sure I've read all the Gnostic Writers, Mark. No, I don't believe people have the right to end their lives. I don't believe that.
You seem out of sorts.
Vin, my brother, heated debates on ideologies here in this chat is more futile than fruitful. Wallahi. There's a hadith that says advising an ignorant is like singing to a dead body. Subhanallah.
Singing to a dead body.
Advising the ignorant is like, yeah, but
there's proverbs that talk about that too, but I don't think any of our discussions have been.
Well, not everybody's in a state of jahil though. Right. That's the thing. So, like, if you're having a discussion, it's like there's a person you're talking to and then the people watching, right? So, it's like if you think about it, like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like he would talk to Abu Jahil, and that's in the hadith. And of course, Abu Jahil was a fool. I mean, his name is Abu Jahil, but we gain benefit from the conversations that he's had with Abu Jahil, right? So it all depends on what your perspective is, who you're talking to.
Muhammad, yeah, my perspective did change about metalheads when I would see them on the street before and after. Before, like the dark look that they had about them and that like thin frame that a lot of them would have and the long hair and stuff kind of made me feel like that they were kind of scary. But now when I see a metalhead, I'm like, oh, like I actually look at them, I'm like, they're probably a very compassionate person right there. So yeah, it definitely has changed my opinion about metalheads.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like suicide goes, people saying it's their body and it's their choice or whatever is, of course, from my perspective, I don't believe it's your body. I believe it's God gave you the body, and He should determine when to go and when to not. But I can't. I'm not gonna judge you for. I don't know your situation. I don't know what type of pain you're in. I don't know what you're suffering from. People ask me a question, I gave an answer. From a biblical perspective, life isn't ours to take, even if it's our own. Do you do any Bathory soon? We have to do Bathory because Bathory's been talked about a lot. Why Korn and not Deftones? Chino's lyrics are too, like, spacey for me. So it was hard for me to, like, connect with them and kind of get the release that I needed.
Yes, Rotting Flesh, he is heavy. That's why I didn't hold him up there for too long. I was like, ugh.
There you go, Tazzy Frost. Rush gave us free will. I see what you did there. 15 minutes. 15 minutes, guys. If it's God's body, there you have a great reason why to hurt it. Well, I mean, ultimately, I believe that that's why people do. Do I mean a socialist state? No, I don't mean like a socialist state like people oppressing each other or the government oppressing. I just mean I don't want anybody in my society getting murdered by student debt and getting murdered by hospital whatever. So if we can figure that out, and people can call that socialism whatever they want, I'm willing to, more of my paycheck needs to get distributed so that we can make that happen. Yes, I'm interested in punk. Babe, can you put on the timer for 12 minutes? You have to admit that Yarlowski was motivated by communism too and pleasing Stalin. Of course. Of course. Nobody's only motivated by one thing. We couldn't get there, my brother, because other people were too busy denying reality. But yes, of course. I mean, my theory on things is that people have a dominant reason, and then there's a whole bunch of subordinate reasons for why we do everything. You take care of your body because you're resurrected with it. That's true. In Australia, we have public universal health care. Also, prior can afford and want better care. Okay, Stuart. Like, I think that those are solutions.
Aw, John.
What?
Before I go to bed, I just want to say thank you for helping me become less racist. I'm a work in progress. Good night.
John, we're all works in progress, my brother. Trust me, I'm not better than you. We all have issues. Good night. Sleep well, my brother. I know you're not, Kai. I know you're not. I'm pretty sure we're pretty much aligned on what happened in the USSR. Yeah, then you're basically a social democrat. We can talk about that too if you like on a stream or off sometime. Yeah, BM fan. Like, I feel like I'm probably a social democrat. You know, like, aside from, you know, killing babies. I don't like that. But Lilo, great.
I know, that's what I was laughing
renting
about.
his body from God. It's true, I am.
Oh my word.
Yeah, I think
we should go out to dinner with Ben and Lilo at the same time.
Yes.
Lilo, are you married?
We should
Have
go.
you met Ben?
Oh gosh, you're gonna pay for that one. Yeah, I'm probably a social democrat. You know, I listen to a lot of Jamar L. Charles. You know what I want to do is I want to get Jamar L. Charles, who's a social democrat.
Yeah.
And then I want to get somebody else.
I think any of those shows that you set up would be really interesting. Ben, I'm sure Lilo is a lovely lady.
Those are my two favorites, though. Not even close. I need a blessing.
Oh my gosh.
Well, God bless you, Ernie Eastman.
Well, he had the legs, but he had to go sacrifice them.
Mason, I've never heard of this theory. You've got 8 minutes to extrapolate it.
Actually, 7 minutes. I'm so tired.
Prayer for cleansing. Whoo! That's such a good title.
Does that?
Very provocative.
Can we hear it? It's the band that came before Between the Buried and Me.
Here in Chile, the far right called communists come guaguas. Doesn't that mean like, which means baby eaters? Yeah.
Gosh.
Yikes. The book is Religion in the USSR. I'm pretty sure. Dan, you should have said Jesus bless you because of Matthew 28:18. Okay. Jesus bless you, Ernie. I mean it.
Ultimate Musings, you're only 2 hours away from us?
Whoa, BM. That's good stuff. Will you be taking more calls tonight? We've only got 6 minutes left. Yes, Charles, it's good for the soul. Just not too much. I'll have to look, Kai. I don't think I have it, but I'll check. We're in Maine. How close to the short list is Big Bird? It's not on the short list, Ben. I just got to be honest with you, my brother. So that's a firm no. I don't know. What's a firm no?
Part of that is because I thought it was a joke every time I saw Big Bird, so I didn't.
Andrew Jackson Jihad. Good night, Charles. Yeah, the next video is going to be good, I think. We've never worked for Avalanche.
TJ Thomas. I have a bleak view of the world, but I'm still positive about the future. Is that okay to think like that?
Well, yeah. I think life's about paradox and holding seemingly contradictory ideas together. I think depending on what aspects of the world you're looking at, it can definitely lead you to think, be bleak. The only thing I would say is to find ways to be the solution. So like one of the things that we're doing with Patreon is like we've got to set a deadline on that when we're gonna figure out which charity we're gonna support. So we're either gonna be feeding some kids off in another country somewhere or rescuing kids from sex trafficking or whatever. There's some admin stuff we got to do, but us and our patrons have decided that we're gonna adopt somebody and help them out, right? So it's like you can have it's okay if you're kind of like disposed to melancholy or sometimes having a bleak outlook on the world, as long as you use that to drive you to be a positive solution to someone.
Thank you, Holly.
Christian thought has a bleak view of the world. People suck from birth. Well, the connection to that is that there is redemption for people, and my belief is that most people will be redeemed. So there's that too. When it comes to dealing with hospital and school debt, shouldn't it rest on those you need it for those who want to help, not everyday citizen forced by the government? I'm not sure about that. Like hospital debt, some of that shit is unavoidable, and school debt, I mean, like I think it's criminal to do to these people what they're doing to them. And I'm not an individualist. I'm a collectivist. So I believe that we all have a collective obligation to one another. So if we're so selfish that a person who contracts cancer and the treatments, and now they're at $120,000 in debt. And if we're so selfish as a nation that people won't step up, I don't have the problem with the government saying, okay, well, we're taking it from you, Vin. So there you are. Free college costs 1/19th per year of one fighter jet program. One kills, the other enlightens. Obviously, I believe in national defense, but I think that point is well taken. Anime describes a feeling of loss in society where the individual feels without guidance, which disassociates them from society. It describes a lot of today's climate. Damn, BM fan. Collectivism denies the rights of the individual. I do see that as a problem. Elio Mike. But I also believe that the way that we're managing capitalism now also denies the rights of individuals, because I believe that healthcare is a human right. And I don't believe that healthcare is only for people who can afford it. And I don't believe in impoverishing families for literal generations because somebody got sick. And I think that the way that we're managing individualism today is denying people the human right to healthcare. So we got to find a way to make it to balance out individualism and collectivism simultaneously.
I am, Tazi. I feel so sleepy.
How would you pay for universal health care? I don't know, Frosty. How do we pay for the military? I mean,
yes, we're Christians.
We spent $1 trillion on the Iraq War. So, I mean, one wrong war, we could have paid off everybody's school debt. So.
Oh, yeah, the water's wicked good. It's cold straight out of that fridge. Thank you. Shout out to the patrons.
Vin is a liberal.
Who made that fridge possible for us. We were like thirsty so much when we were working, and it was like, you gotta ask the kids, can you get me a drink? You may or may not get it. They may have drank out of it before they brought it to you, whatever. But the Patreon made it so we could go out and get a little fridge for our room. It's perfect.
That's a very interesting question. How does God know that God knows everything? So this whole chat is about politics. No. You are wrong, Garcia. The first hour and a half of this chat was about religion.
Right.
My brother's wife still has student loan debts. That's criminal. Well, he didn't say that's criminal. She's in her early 30s. I'm saying that's criminal.
That's it. Yeah, Killer Pickle. We're usually up pretty late. It's
2:44.
It's 2:44 here right now.
Somebody thanks Pastiga 78. Hey, somebody remember that question. How does God know that he knows everything? That is such a fascinating question. I still want to talk about human value.
Okay. I'm saying good night for me. Vin can do what he wants, but I'm very tired. Good night, guys.
Okay, type 24 if you guys still want me to no. Okay. We gotta go. Steven. The next fireside, you gotta call in, buddy. Next fireside, you gotta call in. I do wanna I was thinking about Vin for president yesterday. I'm an individualist and a collectivist. Is that possible? Probably, because that's where I am, even though I'm more collectivist than individualist. In a civilized country, people should look after the weaker ones. I pay my taxes knowing that shit might hit the fan for me. Yes. Yeah, we gotta take care of each other. But I do want to have the discussion, because collectivism and individualism is very hard paradox that I don't think I'm good at merging yet. If I'm not at Muay Thai, well, send me your schedules, De Herrera. How about that? Okay, guys. Hollyhawks! What's your favorite C.S. Lewis book? That Hideous Strength. That's a very, very interesting book. It's part of the Space Trilogy, but you can read that one all on its own. It's amazing. It's probably the best book ever written. I really have to go, guys. I love you guys. I love you guys very much. Thank you for all the chat. Shout out to Lilo. Shout out to Ben Webb. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Aaron, the big homie BM fan. Egregious Humanity. Shout out to you because I love your name. Mark, Ultimate Musings, De Herrera, Cannon Fada, Simon, BM fan, Damon Sage, all the ridiculously generous people who donated on Super Chat. You guys are amazing. Shout out to the big homie Ian. I love you, my brother. You'll figure it out soon, inshallah. Elio Mike, my guy. Thank you for all your years of service, by the way. I don't think I ever did that, so thank you for that. Just shout out to all of you guys. We don't do this for you guys. We do it for us because we just enjoy being with you guys. In other words, it's not an act of charity for us. Like, we love being with you guys and talking and hanging out. So we just appreciate you guys, and I wanted you guys to know that. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, egregious humanity. I love that. First of all, I love the word egregious, and I love humanity. And I love when people put cool shit together. All right. I really have to go because I've got to try to pretend to be somewhat of a good partner and mate here. So I'm going to say goodbye. I love you guys very dearly. And now I'm off. Kabooble.